Hello, I am Eagle Gardens 1 on Instagram, and this is fucking talking shit with Eagle. This is episode 136. I hope you guys had an amazing day. Got a special guest for you guys tonight. Well, half of his and hers grow. We have his anyway here with us tonight. You want to tell us how you're doing tonight, and tell us, of course, where we can find you, good sir.
Doing good, Eagle. We are up in Oregon. You can
Hello,
find
I
us
am
on
Eagle
Instagram at his and her
Gardens. Eagle
grow.
Gardens 1.
And
Sorry.
that's all good. And yeah, we have a YouTube, but we haven't done much on there. We do have a Twitch, which we haven't done much on there either, but we will start streaming more from our Twitch channel, which is his and her grow, when we get our new place up, because we'll have internet out there that we can actually do that with. But yeah, and you'll see her for a second here. She can come take a dab with us and then chill for a little bit on Eagle Gardens.
That's pretty awesome, man. How was your day?
It's pretty good. Got up. I get up at I get a call at 8 o'clock every morning from my other job, my real person job. And then man, I spent most of today bucking plants. I spent about 10 hours or so just bucking down plants today. Got a good 15-minute lunch break in there. And yeah, then I watered veg, checked on flower, and then got here, made dinner. I don't know. I sat down like 2 minutes before the show started or something. Or was supposed to start, made it just in time. But yeah, it was pretty good. You have a good day yourself there, Eagle?
I did. I got some garden work done. I actually got a
Nice.
little bit extra sleep, man. The last 3 days, I've actually got regular people sleep. I don't even know how how to act, man. It's been I want to say a year since I've had anything close to 8 hours sleep, and kind of felt good.
Damn. It's a pretty good amount of time. 8 hours is
Oh, I'm
solid,
sure
right?
you.
That's what you're supposed to get.
Yeah, that's what they
That's
suggest.
what they
I'm
say.
willing to bet you don't see it either, huh?
Not too often. I stay up late. I don't know. I feel like I get a second wind late at night. So sometimes I'll just be working and knocking some stuff out. Or if I got most of my work done, maybe just try to chill and play a game or watch a movie with the her side, or show or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. Sleep. You don't get much sleep when you're trying to get more shit done. That's for sure. Kind of gets cut out a little bit, but I don't know. 8 hours is a lot. I feel like 6 hours you can get by pretty solid. 4 hours is rough after a while, but you know, sometimes it's just how it goes.
Right
Can't
at.
too much about
You
it.
know, I got to tell you right off the bat before we even get into this that I appreciate your smile, man. It's to see you guys keep grinding away at this so many years, and to see it not be a burden at this point, because you guys have dove in and can stepped up, and stepped up. And I'm sure there's been some frustrating obstacles along the road, but to see you still have that smile, and to see that you're still very excited about what you're doing is very encouraging.
Well, I mean, smiles right now. There's definitely been some not so much smiles for sure. Like I got some holes in the wall at my garden. There's been some rough days to say the least, and we had. I don't know. I feel like I always tell people cannabis humbles you because the second you think everything's going right and going good, you get some new problem you've never seen, or something fails that you weren't expecting to fail, or just it always seems to be something comes around to bite you in the ass. But yeah, I feel like we've had a lot better run right this past few months, which has been nice. That viroid thing we got was pretty gruesome for a while, but man, it's just persistence. I think like anything you do, whether it's cannabis growing or whatever your passion is, like 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be you hit a home run on the first go at it. It's going to take falling down and getting up a few times, and I think that's what makes the difference. People who quit, just they're never going to make it. But if you can stay persistent, I mean, you don't have to have all the skill in the world. You just have to have the drive and the momentum, the grit, I guess, as some people say. So yeah.
That's the thing too. You've kind of said that you know it ain't all smiles, but persistence is the thing, though. You guys haven't sat on your guys' law for a minute. You guys have persistently tried to tweak your game and step things up. And with, that does come a little bit of frustration. There's a little bit of trial and error in everything that you're trying to innovate. So, in a little bit of that, you might be bringing them headaches on a little bit yourself, but they're for the better, for sure.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's a fact. Sometimes it's self-inflicted wounds, but yeah, yeah, like you said, persistence. Just keep it going, keep trying harder, and I do like unethical in the sense that I'll find something that works and then I'll change it, and I'll find something that works and change it. Like I'm just always trying to. I kind of realize the fact that like our the end game is to scale, and once you get to a certain size, you really unless you set up a dedicated test room and stuff. And even then, if you get to that point, you set up the testing room, you've already lost so many years in trial and error that you could have been doing testing with. And then once you get that set up, you're looking at another year or two of just testing to find out the answer. So in my eyes, I was like, it was painful and it definitely hurt us sometimes, but it was beneficial to try to just try as many things as we could, as many, nutrient companies, feeding regimens, all that stuff, mediums, just work through as many things as we could while we could afford to take some of those losses a little bit. I wouldn't say we could afford it. It was rough, but it just taught us a lot. We learned a lot over the last few years, just always trying something new. And not that what everyone does doesn't work, but sometimes, people get stuck in their ways and they don't think there's a better way just because when there is, they just haven't tried it yet. So, oh no,
One of the things that I thought was cool about you guys that I initially seen that you guys were doing that nobody else was doing at the time was trying to reuse your the water out of humidifiers just for your plants there, just to save water, was a pretty cool idea there.
dude, it's pretty amazing how much water you can save. I still stand by like you need to filter that water before you reuse it. Um, but I have been mixing that water with fresh RO water. And can you hear me over the torch, or is it too loud? But yeah, I've been mixing RO water with the runoff, or sorry, the dehumidifier water, and that seems to be fine. But if you're using straight dehumidifier water, I would definitely say like you need to fucking filter that some way somehow. There is some stuff in there that needs to be cleaned out. And if you just keep feeding it to your plants for a whole run, you will see some issues crop up. But yeah, you go first. There's a hydrologic. Everyone knows hydrologic. They make a lot of water filters, but they have the ARC system, ARCS, that's specifically designed to like filter dehumidifier or AC condensing water. But I'm sure you could build your own just if you knew exactly what you needed. But yeah, I think when our place is running full steam, we can get like 60% to 70% of reclaimed water from our dehumidifiers and ACs. And we're trying to bump that up to closer to 100% where we don't need water using rainwater collection. So at the new place, that's something we're going to set up is getting gutters on our roof and setting up some tanks in the ground behind the grow that we can collect rainwater with. And with how much it rains here in Oregon, man, we should be able to get a pretty decent amount, But that's the goal. That's the end goal. Like trying to be more sustainable, less toxic.
Should be some kind of tax break for that shit. Cheers. But seriously though, there should be some type of incentive to encourage wise growing like that, for sure.
Yeah, you would think so. There's definitely some incentives for switching to LED lights, but but I think that's kind of about it right now. And the incentive that you're doing less harm, more good, and you're not spending as much money to bring in water or whatever.
Is water as big of a question in Oregon as it is, say, in California?
I would say, I mean, we obviously have a lot of water, but you have to have water rights on your property to use a well. So that process it's hard to get water rights even when you buy property. Like the property we purchased we don't have water rights. They weren't, part of the deal. So if you don't do that, it's like over a year long process. It's not something they can guarantee before you purchase the property, but they can give you a good idea if you can get the rights. And then, yeah, you basically pay like $2,500, wait like a year to 16 months. And you might get water rights. So at that point, it's not so bad. You could drill a well, which is expensive, but our water tables are pretty high, so you don't have to go super deep. But where that kind of leaves you at is you're stuck buying water. Like I can't, if I had a well already on the property and I didn't have rights, I can't use it. If I have city water, I can use that, but then you're paying for city water. But if you don't have that option, like most of these farms out here don't because of their location, you're stuck delivering water, which seems ass backwards to me. It seems like more of an environmental burden to have a big ass truck load up with water, drive, however many hours out to your spot, dump it off, drive back, and then like when you have a well sitting there with plenty of water available. And our grow is really geared to use less is more kind of thing. So like our current place is 2,300 square feet, and we don't use more water than a 4-person household. So it's just kind of frustrating that they put, but I mean, those limitations are there because people take advantage, right? So,
Well, in that same aspect, I heard you mention catching rainwater. I know California there, they can be a stickler about that as well. I mean, is there such a thing in Oregon where you catch too much rainwater and now you're infringing on the water rights?
it's pretty. I asked about that because there was a story about someone that did get in trouble for that, but supposedly it's really not a big deal if you're doing it on your buildings and such. But this guy was digging like he had a I don't know like 100-acre lot or 50-acre lot or some big field, and he was just digging huge ponds like throughout his entire field. So he was collecting a lot of water, and they want some of that water obviously going back into the water table, so they don't want you blocking everything, but when it comes to just collecting water off your roof and stuff, it's pretty laid back. It's really easy to get approved for, and it's not nothing they care about too much. Just if you go overboard with it.
So we got technical way too fast there. Usually on the show, we start off right with that first experience with the cannabis plant there. So either one of you guys want to tell me about your first experience with the cannabis plant there?
Did you? Oh, she's taking a dab. I'll ask her though, and then I'll relay. But my first experience with a cannabis, like growing or smoking.
Either or.
Either or.
Whichever came first. I'm sure smoking came first. Growing.
Smoking came first. For me, it was super young, like 11 years old, I think, was my first smoking experience. And actually, me and my friend, we his parents they smoked, and but before we even knew about smoking weed, they grew grapes in their backyard because they made their own wine down in Texas, and we thought because wine is alcohol, you get drunk off alcohol, and they would leave their grapevines and off to the side of their garden when they'd harvest. We're like, well, maybe if we smoke the dried grapevines, we'll get high.
You never told me this.
Sylvia's like, you never told me this. So the first thing I technically smoked was dried grapevines, which was horrible. And I think the only high we felt was probably because we were like smoking ash or something. I don't know. It's not recommended. And then after that we learned, okay, we just need to smoke weed, and we had stole some weed from his parents, and guy had a little pipe and stuff, and that was it. And then when I first moved out of my mom's house the other day, I turned 18. I got an apartment, and that's the first place I grew. And I got some clones for like, I want to say $75 for each one, but I got 2 of those, and then 2 other ones I got were 125 each. And one was a sour diesel, and I can't remember for the life of me what the other one was. But basically what turned out happening is 2 of them, I don't know if it was hemp or what, but they budded, they grew, but you did not get high. And there was like no crystals on the weed. But the other one, the sour diesel one, was actually really nice. And so, yeah, my first grow was 4 plants, old metal halide or HPS light. And I had this little closet, like side closet they were in, and they grew. I mean, I flowered them way too late. They were like 8 or 9 feet tall, in my little apartment closet. So they were like curving over like on top of the light and stuff. It was pretty bad. But yeah, that was my first grow experience. Fox Farm soil, Fox Farm nutrients, very basic, like whatever their grow was in that tiger bloom, their flowering shit. And that was it. 4 plants. And then my buddy came, the one who sold me the clones, and he taught me how to take clones. So then I took clones of that plant, and it's just downhill from there, I guess. But yeah, in an apartment building, not the safest place to do it at, that's for sure.
So how long from smoking to that first, time smoking to the actual grow? I mean, 11, you couldn't have been growing, right around the corner. When did you actually start growing?
That was when I was 18, so 7 years, I guess, after I first smoked. I didn't, I just grew out of I started to sell weed, and so growing just, it was like, this guy that I sold weed to was like, I got clones, I know how to grow, and so then I just kind of decided to try it, and it was fun. I learned a lot. It was dangerous to do that, but man, it was just crazy. Like, no one had, this was down in Texas, and this was a long time ago. So like good dro, we called it dro back then, or hydro, but that weed was like kind of far and in between. Like, you could maybe get it every now and then, but not usually. Usually it was just some brick weed or some of that kind bud stuff, which was just like brick weed with red hairs in it. So when I did that first home grow, man, I sold it for, I can't remember what I sold it for, but it was a lot. And it was, it was dry, and it turned out to be really good. But I turned those 4 plants into 40 plants the next run, all in that same little closet. And then after that, my buddy that taught me all that stuff, we went, and he ran duplexes. So we'd like rent a duplex, have someone live there in half the duplex, and then we turn the other half like into a grow. And so that was kind of like the progression from apartment closet to duplexes. And then that's where I stopped after that. And then I just, kept to selling weed for a long time. It's just hard to do that in Texas. This is, you just back then. I mean, still now I would be fucking scared to do it. But
I was gonna say, man, I'm talking to growers right now that are still not even thinking about wanting to talk about growing or even anything to do with weed in Texas right now, much less back then. That's for sure. I mean,
yeah. So it was just, we were like, nah, I'm gonna stop that.
Is it Texas always been that way? I mean, crazy on cannabis like that? I've never been down there. I don't know.
It's pretty red state. They're pretty hard. They'll try to put you under the prison, right? There was one dude that got busted in town with, I mean, this was maybe like 2010 or something, not even too long ago, with some edibles and like brownies and shit. And man, they were trying to give him like 10 years. And he's like some young kid just selling some fucking brownies, like not even a lot, not even a crazy amount, like a couple of trays or something like that. But so it just depends, Austin is a more like laid back city compared to the rest of Texas. So Austin is a little bit better, but still, like, they're not about you selling or growing down there. You might get away with smoking a joint down there in Austin compared to the rest of Texas. But other than that, they're not too cool on the whole weed thing still. But they do have 3 producers down there now that are growing CBD only. But so there's change, it's coming, maybe. I could see them being a last state.
Sad, but probably true, Gotta be open to things, I guess.
I'm sure they've all heard it a lot, but what was your first grow experience?
Kind of similar to yours a little bit there. I was buying a lot of weed. Well, to tell it correctly, I hustled a lot of smoke. I was out on my own very early. Cannabis had a lot to do with keeping my head above water. And then I met my girl's mother at the time, and hang out with her. And when that first child came, and she said, no more hustling the bud. You gotta hang that shit up. So unfortunately, I did, and for the most part, You know, I still kind of put friends together a little bit here. You know what I mean? At the end of the week, you need one, you need one, you need one. Cool. I'm making the trip so I can save myself some money, if not, free up my bag. And I did that for quite some time, and then it just got to be where is I started working for myself, so the people that I was working around necessarily kind of got smaller and smaller. So and family life goes, you know what I mean? The group of friends as family goes on can recede. Just a
For sure.
natural
For
progression
sure.
of things, I
Just seems to
guess.
be how it happens. Yeah. I'm sure most people
And
would agree with you
so,
with kids.
yeah, that opportunity became smaller and smaller. So it became more and more out of pocket, out of pocket. And then I realized, hey, one ounce a week, $200 a week, $800 a month. And I got tired of fucking paying that, and the guy I was getting it from at that point was growing this shit, and kind of similar to you, I was hanging out watching him a little bit, and then actually, I was like, I could do this, and then he made the mistake of sliding me some clones, and it was on after that, man.
Lost a
That was
customer after that.
yeah, lost a customer and a little bit of competition at that point because. Once thing got going, then obviously I let a little bit of things going when I wasn't supposed to be, but
Right.
and
Yeah.
I surely jumped on the chance of becoming a caregiver as soon as possible, and it's been on ever since that point. That's for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's the same. When I stopped selling a lot, I still sold enough to pay for my weed because the same problem. Like I smoked every day. It's just so expensive, you know? It's just like so I was like, well, if I buy a little bit and just sell it to my friends that I'm smoking with anyways, then I can at least pay for my weed and still get to smoke. But yeah, no, family life definitely takes over. But it's been different for us, moving up here. It's like totally different vibe in Texas. It's everyone's so relaxed about it. People are so chill. Like the first time I met Medi Cropper, um, we were working in Washington when he was working in Washington, and we were getting some cuts, and I drove up there with like a U-Haul trailer and the padlock and everything, and he pulls up there in his like little SUV CRV thing with all the like plants in the back just crammed in there. You can see it through the window, just and he was just laughing at me that I had like got a U-Haul to hide everything and put a lock on it. And he was just like, no one cares up here. No one cares. And it was just like, blew my mind, like from where you could never get away with something like that back home. So, and the same thing, we were driving up to Washington. We stopped in Colorado to meet some guy that was growing down there just to talk to him for a little bit. He was willing to talk. And we were in the middle of a Walmart parking lot and he was just showing us weed. And I was just like, my mind was just gone. I was just like, what the fuck is going on? So it's taking some getting used to, but it's nice, having the whole legal thing. And it sucks for people stuck in a state that don't have access like that, really feel for them. Like they have to either get it illegally or if they have to risk going, buying it in a legal state and bringing it back illegally. Like that's such a shitty position to put people in. But it is what it is.
So
but yeah, moving out of state was nice.
I can't help but ask because you've referenced her a couple of times. When did his become his and her? You want to back up and tell me when the his became his and hers and kind of enter that picture?
Probably like, man, I'm glad she's not standing here right now in case I fuck this up. But I want to say 2016. I want to say like 4 years ago or so. Maybe 2015, somewhere around there. This is probably, yeah, I think when we first met. We met at just a mutual friend's party. I was going over there. It was just like a little house party thing. And I brought like, just like, I don't know, like 10 little eighth bags, bagged up just to sell to people there while I was there. Cause, everyone's going to smoke anyways. And she was there. That was the first time I'd met her. And she was like my really good friend was dating her best friend. And so they, introduced whatever. And then I want to say like a couple days later, my buddies call me and they're like, "Hey, this girl's asking for your number. Like, can we give her your number?" Because I was super protective back then, and for just being in Texas. And so I was like, yeah, for sure. And I found out she smoked a lot of weed, and so she saw I was selling weed, so she's like, "Let me come buy some weed from you." And so then she came up and sold her like a gram. I think I charged her $10, which I feel like is a really good deal, you know. And yeah, after that, just asked her. I think we went to like lunch and then the movie and whatever after that. But that was I sold her some weed the first time. She said that was the first time she paid for weed in a long time. So she was so used to guys just giving her free weed. I was like, no, you got to pay for it. Sorry, we're not dating or anything yet, right? So, but yeah, that's how we met, and it's probably 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 5 years.
No, she'd probably hate to admit this, but it probably did something in her book. You know what I mean? Since you were the first guy that actually charged.
Oh, like charged her.
Yeah. They probably set something in motion there. You know what I mean? She probably stewed on it or something. And you just locked in her mind. You know, like, hey, I can't believe that. And then
I can't believe that motherfucker make me pay for weed a fucking gram. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, how cheap is this guy?
She would call you back to give you a piece of her mind the next round, and the next thing you know, you guys were going out.
Yeah, for sure. Like, she maybe paid like, I want to say 2, maybe 3 times, probably just 2 times, and then she was getting free weed after that for sure. So it didn't last long. But yeah, and then I won her heart over with we had some stuff coming in from Cali, and we would like get the regular commercial stuff, and then we get some cookies. Was really big back then. Girl Scout cookies had just come out, so we'd buy like just a pound of that to split up between us, and just because it was like good stuff, better quality, but not worth buying and hustling, And so yeah, I gave her some cookies, which was some good weed back then to find down there, so she was super excited about that. And then some guy I work with grows like a couple of plants, I guess, in his backyard or closet or something. So got some homegrown stuff from him that I would give to her, and so found some good weed to impress her. That's definitely how I got her, was through good weed, not my skills or anything.
That's funny.
That's what sold the deal.
Funny. It seems like most of the guys, when I talk this story right here, it's the woman that always have smoked a lot. I mean, even in my background, it seems like all the women I've been with throughout the years are heavy smokers. I mean, I smoke a lot. And it seems like women can most generally outsmoke most men. I don't know if it's just in the genes or what, but it just seems to be that way. I don't know what it is. If it's just women.
I think that's super true, man. Like Sylvia, if she didn't fall asleep, she could easily outsmoke me. Like, I mean, we can take, if we both, I mean, we just took dabs a minute ago. She was taking dab over here. I was taking dab. I'll cough my fucking lungs out after a dab, and she'll take twice as big of a dab, and she won't even make like not one cough, not even a sound. Just like, I bosses it. I can't even keep up with that, So yeah, maybe there's something to it. I don't know what that is, but she can definitely smoke. That's for sure.
It was funny, when I interviewed Pedro and Dizzy, I kind of expected that to be the opposite way too. You know what I mean? I kind of expected Pedro to be the heavier smoker out of the two, and it was just the opposite. She immediately was like, "No, just the opposite."
Oh, I thought you were gonna say it was like that, because I was like, "Yeah, Pedro smokes more than Dizzy for sure." That's crazy.
Oh no, not according to the story. She was the heavier smoker, and she was the one that kind of hooked him up the first time.
Oh, really? Oh man, that's crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah,
dude, I love Pedro and Dizzy. They're so cool. We got, when we went to one of the cups in California, we rented an Airbnb with them. It was fun. I guess, thinking back, she was definitely smoking like a pretty good amount. He was keeping up, but yeah, maybe she was smoking more. That's funny. But yeah, they're fun to hang out with. We had like a hot tub and everything. It was we had to figure out how to get it working. That was exciting, but we had a good time. And Pedro's rosin is fire. If anyone gets a chance to try that, you should definitely check that stuff out, man. It was super good, very terpy. He got one that was like a mix of all his strains he ran that season, so like 4 or 6 strains or something, and it was flavor and like high and everything was on point. So he makes some good rosin. That's all I'm saying.
So let's pick back up with your story a little bit here. You guys kind of jet out of the red state, and what happens next? Where you go from there? When do you get set back up again?
So the last time I had grown since then was probably 10 years ago. 10 years before we moved up here, and we went to Washington first. There was a couple that approached us, and they were like, "Can we, we want to grow weed in Washington or somewhere legal, and you guys want to come grow it for us, and we'll pay to set up the place and everything, and you guys can live in the house and just grow there, and we'll pay for all the stuff, and then we'll just split whatever we sell at the end, right?" And so we're like, "Yeah, that sounds." Thought about it. I of course was on board immediately because looking over your shoulder your whole life is just like the thought of not having to worry anymore was huge to me. We ended up moving to Washington in a small ass town called Klamath Falls, I think it was, or something. Apparently they filmed the scene of Twilight there is their name to fame. If I have not seen those movies, but I'm sure someone in chat has, but it's like where the high school was or something. They have a banner, like a poster there and everything. This is a super small town, and we got this house that was really nice. I mean, dude, this house, I think their idea was they were going to retire in this house, right? And it was on top of the mountain. You had an amazing view over the river. It was gorgeous. And so they got the house. We moved up here, and it just wasn't that great. It was kind of a shit show. We had to do all the construction, which was fine. I was fine doing that. We also were very keen, like before we moved up here, telling them they had to get genetics. Like genetics were super important. Like whatever we do, like you guys need to find some good genetics for us to run. Because the idea is we're just growing and they're like handling everything else. But it ended up, they had no genetics. We had to build the rooms. We had to go find genetics, which was, it's hard. Like in Texas, it would be easy. But up here, it was just like, I didn't know anyone. And so we just got on Craigslist and started looking around, ended up at some shoddy house in closer to Vancouver, Washington, and some little, California genetics company that they just rent out these spots and or pay someone that owns these houses, and they'll just go fill them up with clones, and you can just go pick up trays of clones. So we got Durban Poison, I think is what we ended up with. And I can't remember the other strain. It was White Rhino. No, Romulan. It was Romulan. So those are the cuts we ended up getting, because everything that was advertised on their site was like these OGs and all this stuff. And we're like, we want this. And the guy's like, yeah, we got all that. And he's like, go to this address. And we get there and it's super shady house. And we get inside and he's like, yeah, I don't got any of those strains, but I got these. And we're like, all right, well, I guess we'll just take, fuck it. We'll take whatever. And yeah, so then we got those strains and we were able to start at least growing something up there. And then, got to selling the weed. They had no one to sell the weed to. So we had to go figure that out. And it was just a lot of stuff that was kind of put on their shoulders. And they wanted to give us 20% at the end and take 80%. And we're just like, so unfair, because we were, if we were just growing, maybe. But since we were starting out, see how it goes. But yeah, since we had to do everything, we ended up getting them to do 50-50. And yeah, the whole point of that trip was to train their kid to grow. That was their whole goal. They wanted him to learn how to grow so he could take over the farm. But this kid has been spoiled since like day one of his life. And, he would go in there and work a little bit. I remember like the first time we were cleaning a res, we were like, yeah, this is how you need to do. This is what you need to use. And he's just like, we're like, you want to help? And he's like, no. Like, I won't have to do that. Like, I'll just hire someone to do that for me. Just like, well, you got to do it to understand whoever you hire, know that they're doing it correctly, right? Because if you don't know what the fuck they're doing or they're supposed to be doing, they could, it's just, dude. And so that was his attitude, though, right? did not end up learning a lot, ended up just throwing in the towel or whatever. And that's when we moved to Oregon. And we moved to Oregon because Washington was really expensive to get a license. They had already cut off the deadline for applying. It was like a month or two or something like that. So you were looking at 75 grand for a recreational license, just the license alone. And that you have to have the spot set up, because when you get that license, they need to come look at where you're going to be transferring it to and inspect it and all that. So the cost of setting up plus 75 grand just for a license. In Oregon, you could get the biggest rec license for like 6 grand, right? You still have to set everything up, so that's still expensive, but the license is affordable. There's a whole lot of fees in getting everything set up, so it's still not cheap by any means, but a lot cheaper than most states. And so that's why we moved to Oregon, and then just been living here ever since. And we're got a new property now that we're building out, and our old pool barn thing we're gonna rip out and do some changes to. We're actually starting that this weekend. We're gonna redo our water tank room. But yeah, that's kind of how we got here, and now we're just trying to grow and keep up. And the market was really saturated a couple years ago, and just full of weed, and not great weed, but most dispensaries are more worried about margin and money versus quality, right? So if they can buy cheaper weed and sell it for close to the same price, then why would they pay more for weed? They don't care, right? So, but that's it's slowly changing. There's like Spartan Grown's in here. Look at that. There's more shops that are like trying to go for quality, and they want that boutique feel. And people, I think, will get educated as they smoke more, like the difference between good and bad weed. And it's always going to be like a connoisseur market that's smaller than the masses, but I think it'll get just better and better. And that's kind of what we've seen. It's just prices going up, and people care more about quality and all that good stuff. So just got to hang in there, right? Hopefully. We'll see.
Right on. So how was it? How bad was it actually coming into a new town and wanting to set up, a bigger grow?
It was hard. I mean, at the time, warehouses were like disappearing left and right. I mean, we go look at a warehouse, and then that day it would be rented out. Prices were crazy. We looked at like a 1,300 square foot warehouse, which is not very big. It was brand new. It was nice. They had 3-phase power and all that stuff, but $5 grand a month for that spot, which is insane for 1,300 square feet. And the same dude was actually, he had in this lot, he built a long pole barn and just split it up into these sections and was renting each one out at $5 grand. And on the next, like, I don't know, 100 feet over, 50 feet over, he put these like basically like containers, but he had outfitted them to be like explosive proof and all that. So they met all the processing standards, and they had like a whole lab built out in them. He was renting those for $8 grand a month. And it's, it's just half the size of a regular shipping container. So it takes up no space. I mean, really smart. I would suggest it to anyone in a new state setting something up like that. But yeah, it was just crazy. And so we finally found a warehouse. It was really hard to get our license because there were so many like ifs, ands, or buts. We're on a shared road, meaning we had to get everyone around us to sign a petition that says they know we're growing weed there and they're okay with it. And there was like 6 property owners we had to talk to. And, so, some of these people are older people that are not so about the weed. But we're super lucky. The lady literally behind our barn, 50 feet from the back of our barn, she grows her own plants every summer. She buys some autoflower seeds from Holland. She gets like 10 or 20 seeds, pops them, flowers like 4 of them out in her backyard. And she makes her own little taffy and shit. And so she's like this huge pothead. And we're worried about odor and stuff, right? And she's like, oh, I love the smell in the morning. Like, I know when you guys are about to harvest. And she's all into it. So we got pretty lucky with that. And then like our building we have to be 10 feet from the back of the property line. And we're literally like 10 feet, 3 inches, I think. Just all kinds of little things we kind of got lucky with. But yeah, it's been a good building. It's held up. It's definitely a budget grow. We took a lot of used equipment from our place in Washington. We bought all that stuff from those owners. We bought we took equipment list, brought it to the hydro store. They gave us what they would pay for it. and we just paid them that, and we took all those those lights, and I think there's some trays and stuff we got from them and fans and all that shit, and we just added to it. And so our grow is definitely like a duct tape style grow. It's not it's not the nicest things in there, but we got our rolling tables, and that was important, right? That was important to me. So because once you get a grow growing, it's really hard to get in there and change shit up, especially adding tables. So I was like, we'll just get that part done, and then eventually down the road we can redo everything else. And so when this run finishes, that's what we're doing. We're like, all the lights are getting redone, the tank room's getting redone, bedroom's getting redone. We're doing new AC in the flower room. We're dropping 4 dehumidifiers in there. We're gonna just totally upgrade that entire place and squeeze out some big runs at the end. That's the goal. So, but yeah, it's been a long road, man. I don't know. Sorry if I'm rambling.
That's that persistence that I was talking about earlier. There, it doesn't really seem like that long ago that I remember you guys setting up this grow. I mean, it wasn't just a few years ago. It seems like now you're ready
Yeah,
for updates again. That's like starting.
3
That's
years
almost
ago.
like starting the process over, like you said.
I'd say if I knew what I was doing, we'd already be to this point like a year or two ago, probably. But it's been a learning experience, and like the way we grow now, like with cocoa and double-ended lights and CO2. Like when I grew 10 years ago or whatever, now like 15 years ago, I didn't use any of that shit. I had just that's why I was big on YouTube and all that stuff, and really wanted to try to just like share what we were doing, because I watched so many YouTube videos before we got up here. I read through so many forums, and I came to the conclusion Rockwool double-ended bulb CO2, like that's going to be your winning ingredient for yield in like a commercial setting, right? And so that's what we started with. And but yeah, it was just like a lot of the information I got when I restarted was all new. Like I really didn't remember too much from back then except clones and basic stuff. But I wasn't in soil anymore. I'm in a hydroponic medium now, and that's just a whole different feeding style. Once you get it down, it's easy. It's not hard, but at first, like making that change, soils can be a lot more forgiving. So yeah, it's definitely been a learning curve. But yeah, it is crazy. I guess it's only been 3 years. It feels like went by really fast, but it also feels like it was pretty long 3 years. Pretty rough 3 years, I would say. But still here, right?
So,
Hanging in there.
hell yeah, kicking good,
Cheers.
kicking along, excellent, my friend. Cheers to you. So curious, this makes, for great conversation all in itself. Now that somebody like yourself is, up and running and somewhat established, that you're saying these are your words, not mine. I would say you're established. um, so as you look at things, where do you start to see the most benefit and changes? Where do you said that pretty much everything's going to get an overhaul sooner or later, but as you step back and you prioritize things, how do you prioritize, and what's that first thing you're going to jump on?
Lights and bulbs, I think, because our lights and bulbs in our room are 4 to 5 years old. I haven't replaced one bulb, one reflector, nothing. Those lights are 4 to 5 years old, and that's why it sucks that Gavita's owned by Monsanto now or whatever. But those lights are still they impress me, like how long they've ran, how the efficiency they've lost is like so little. Like we're still, after we got rid of that Viroid, we're still hitting over 2 pounds of light with bulbs and reflectors that are 4 to 5 years old. Like that's crazy, If you use a single-ended bulb, I mean, you'd be losing massive amounts of yield probably within 2 years. Like, especially if you're running it all year long, So I think the lights and the bulb, getting all those redone and replaced is going to be nice. And we're just doing the reflectors and the bulbs. We're not actually changing out the Gavitas. We're going to keep Gavitas in there for right now. I'm trying to figure out a way to drop 4 different LEDs in there from 4 different companies and just do like semi-test run. I mean, it won't be a great test run because we'll have the HPS in there, but trying to figure out a way to do that before we get our new place, because we're really, we kind of want to have an idea of who we want to go with or what light company we want to use, because we're going to be doing all LED at the new place. We're not going to do any HPS anymore. So yeah,
It seemed like that would be easy for you, brother.
I think, yeah, I mean, HLG it's like the highest output for the lowest price. So it's cost wise and efficiency, like there's really not another one out there that competes with it. But I'm still interested in, like, different light companies, because there is always new stuff coming out, and people use different spectrums and how certain strains deal with that. So and the way we're doing our cooling in our new place, it's a lot of air moving from the top of the room to the bottom of the room. And the thought of having these huge rectangles building an entire ceiling, basically blocking that airflow, is not great either, and that's kind of how the HLG lights are designed right now. But what they're doing, I think they're designing a new one that's going to have some type of vent or something in it to let air flow through the lights. And then I think they're doing their bar thing too. But I like Fluence a lot, just because they're based in Austin. I'm from Austin, and they make great lights. I was a big fan of Green Jeans, so I want to try his stuff. And then the fourth one, I'm kind of up in the air about. I've got a lot of suggestions from people, but I'm not. I think what Timberlight grows, or is that one of them?
Yeah.
Do you know? Yeah, I had a lot of people that suggested that one. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But
it sounds like it would be too easy for you, my friend. To be honest,
it sounds like it'd be too easy. Why is that?
To be honest, well, for your social media, to be honest with you,
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be blatantly honest with you here. I am half as well known as you are in the cannabis community, and I have 3 light sponsors. You know what I mean? I'm not his and her scroll on a weekly show.
Oh, we're not.
I would definitely.
We're just chilling.
I would definitely be reaching out to all of them and going, "Hey, man, I'm willing to do a fucking side by side weekly grow." You know what I mean? I'm gonna post it all, and if anything, if you don't get them to like really give you a good fucking discount on good discount, at least halvesies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, for sure. You're right. But it's just, yeah. Jason says the Gavita LED. The Gavita LED is really good. That's probably the LED I would go with behind the HLG. But we've already tested those ones out. They do really good. We can hit like 2.1 to 2.2 a light with those. So the Gavita ones are good. But yeah, I just want to kind of play with some others, and I'd like to do just really, HLG down half the room and some other vendor down the other half of the room for the first one, and just have it narrowed down to 2 people and just run them side by side and see what happens. I think it'd make for good content, and
yeah, right. I would call it. I watch GML every so often, and I'd almost call out HIV or HLG. To be honest with you, I'd be like, "Yep, I've got a Gavita light," and they say it's nothing against that 600R. Time to do a side by side, my friend. We'll talk about it every week, man.
Oh no, they were super. Yeah, they've always taken care of us. Steve was super nice. Like I got all the HLG lights I got upstairs. Like I think I didn't pay him for like 6 months or something for those lights. So they've always been really cool and given us like a really good price. So that's the thing. It's hard not to pick a different one, because they're really good lights, and we would get them for such a good cost, So, but I like doing side by sides. Like I always like trying new things and seeing what's out there, and you don't just get stuck doing the same thing. So I would like to pick another one to do for the first room at least, and just but I don't want it to be based on whoever's giving me the biggest discount. Like I want what's going to be, I think the next best light, right? But you're right, dude.
You can't sway results, you know what I mean? So
Right.
you can only put them side by side with the same results, same strains. So you can only
For
let the light
sure.
actually do the work unless you're actually cheating and like not feeding one section. You know what I mean?
That'd be fucked up. You just you
Yeah.
run some other
So
company and you just totally neglect that sign. Just like, I don't know, guess that light just sucks dick, you know?
yeah, yeah, that would be pretty shitty to do. But
That would be shitty
other
to do. I hope people don't do that.
side by side like that, you couldn't necessarily hide results. You know what I mean, or favor
No,
them.
for sure. You're right. Yeah, yeah. So that's the plan, though. I mean, my biggest thing that like I still preach, and I understand LEDs are more efficient, but grams per square foot. I mean, I haven't tried that 650R, which supposedly can be competitive, but it's really hard to hit the same grams per square foot that you get with a double-ended bulb. And at the end of the day, if you got 5,000 square feet to blow out, you're gonna get a higher yield with double-ended versus LED. Yes, it'll be more efficient, but that cost in electricity versus the cost of weight and how much that sells for, it's like a wash. It's nothing. I mean, a few hundred extra bucks a month or whatever. It's not a big deal, you know. So I mean, it's difference between like 300 pounds and 400 pounds. Like that's 100 pounds. That's your electricity cost. It's not that important at that point. So that's always been my thing with it. But now that we have a license and we can get 10,000 square feet of flowering space, it's a lot. It's plenty. I feel like so. I want to push down the more sustainable path. And if we have LED lights, it's going to be easier for us to, you know, set up some sustainable energy source that powers that versus having to power more electricity. Powering less electricity is better, right? So, or easier to do. So that's kind of why we know we're probably not going to get the same yield, but we hope that at some point maybe we can or get close or something.
I think you're
As
gonna
they
be
get better and
surprised. To be honest with you.
yeah, yeah, that's we'll see. I don't know. I feel like I haven't seen over 2.2 a light, but people say they've gotten it. I just haven't personally seen it, right? But yeah, I don't know. It'll be cool. I'm pretty excited about it. It's gonna save money on all our cooling and all our HVAC. So yeah, it'll be a cool little build to follow. So try to do as much
How do you
updates as I
feel
can
about
about it.
like some states like California that are forced in it?
I feel like I mean it's a good thing because it is, conserves energy using LED lights. So forcing it though, I think is a little harsh to do, especially because so much people just put in a lot of money to those grows down there, and some of them didn't use LED lights. A lot of them probably didn't use LED lights, and for them to have to all of a sudden be forced to replace that and take on that cost is seems kind of shitty. Like if I invested $1 million and then all of a sudden I had to invest like another 200 grand 2 years later or something just for lights, I gotta be pissed. But there is a lot of there's a rebate program. I can't remember what it's called, but I know there's a few LED companies that do it, and I don't know if it's per state, but if you can get it, I mean, you can save. Medicropper talks about it all the time. You pretty much pay nothing for your lights if you switch your HPS out for the LED ones. So if that's the case and California can do that, then I think it's not that big of a deal. And I think pushing people to be more energy efficient is better. It's worthwhile. Might hurt, but in the end, that's what we should be focusing on, right? So yeah, you're gonna get less yield. I get that for some people, but little bit we can do to save the world, right? If we use a little bit less energy, maybe not the worst thing. You got to sell a little bit less weed that year. You'll probably still live, right? You'll be okay. So, but yeah, I think LEDs have come a long way and they're easily going to beat out double-ended, eventually. And I think you can do a lot more because you just have access to so much more spectrum. You can add strips of different colors to do, like everyone talks about the far red light and all that. So, I think just those like having the ability to do all that stuff with them is really cool. And yeah, I think in the future, most people will be using LED or whatever crazy light source comes next. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm actually was that's gonna be a forced upgrade on me without soon. I got one back here blinking on me. Just swapped out a bad ballast yesterday. Now I'm figuring it out that it's probably the fixture that's bad or something, because I swapped out the ballast today and then, or last night, it ran fine, and then when it went to fire up today, it just kind of cycles till the bulb gets to its peak brightness and then it's shutting back down.
Oh
So
shit.
I don't know what. Yeah,
Damn. That's pretty shitty. Yeah, you could check the connections
like
in there and see if there's like something loose, but like in the bulb, is it just a single HPS? Single nit
yeah,
HPS?
yeah,
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
I mean, there you go. You're gonna be all LED soon anyway, so ahead of the curve, Eagle. You're ahead of the curve, man.
It's funny because I right before this show, I'd seen it as the lights come on at 9:30 here, and I watched it warm up and blink a few times, and I'm like, oh, that sucks, you know. And so as right before I got in the shower, I hit up one of the light guys. I'm like, all right, talk to me.
What can you
Talk to
do
me
for me?
on a yeah. What can we do for a 4x8? Yeah, 2 units. You know what I mean?
What are you
And
gonna go? Can you say yet or?
yeah, yeah. He said he would 750 for a piece for the 8 bar units is what he would do me for.
What lights are they?
They're the low pro max 640s. They're dimmable. They're compared to the new Gavita unit,
Oh,
and
nice.
it was they're pretty nice, to be honest with you. My first run with them in a 4x4, you talk about numbers. I did 30 zips that first run with that light in a 4x4,
Damn.
which ain't bad. It ain't
Ain't
bad.
bad.
Actually,
It ain't bad.
it's on my YouTube there. I actually did a slow time elapse video from veg, like couple weeks of veg all the way
Uh-huh.
through flower there.
Oh,
And
that's awesome.
time
Like the
elapse.
entire thing.
Yep, yep.
Oh,
They
that's sick.
buds
I
got
love those
huge. You can
videos.
see like at one point towards the end, the fuckers get so big they actually like fall over, and I have to get in there. You see me get in there and like stand everything back up and like prop it off. I actually had to,
Yeah.
the bars that go on the top of the tent. I
Uh-huh.
actually
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of put one like facing out, like a safety rail. So they were like leaning up, like when as you open the tent, they were leaning up against
Oh,
that bar.
you don't
So
believe in
keeping
the
them from
yo-yos?
no, no, not. I don't. I actually,
No.
I'm actually a firm believer that that flop is that stress is a good increase for trichomes turn
Mm,
production. To be honest with you,
yeah.
just
I don't
to
do
a
the
point.
yo-yos
I don't
either.
necessarily like them collapsing, but
Right, where
definitely
they totally snap.
yeah, yeah, pretty
Yeah,
close
no,
to
I
it.
feel you, dude. I feel like, yeah, that's one thing people, yes, you get is that stress, like certain amounts of stress can be super beneficial at the end of flower. You can see some crazy things by just kind of stressing the plant a little bit here and there. But um, but yeah, I don't believe in the yo-yos. It just seems like too much work. Yeah, and I feel like when they're falling over, that's a good problem to have. You know, it's just they're just that big. But I do, yeah, I do need to add more trellis netting because that happened to me really bad last couple of times I ran our OG. It was just like fucking hanging into the neck, the row next to it. You can't even walk by it. It's just bad problem to have. But yeah.
See, I cringe when I think of that scrog neck. To be honest with you, I, this is
So
the
bad.
second run in that same tent, and the manufacturer of the light was like, "Oh, you could do better." He actually thought, well, we kind of both thought the number could have been, well, it's going to be a
Higher.
little bit better in that tent. But
Uh-huh.
that was my method. I went with my method the first round, and I was pretty happy with it. But the whole time he's like, "Oh, you should have did a scrog. You should have did a scrog." So I agreed to a second test run with it,
Uh-huh.
and this time I did the scrog, and man, I cringe every time I think about harvest. It's in a
That
four
huge.
by four tent,
Man. Yeah.
so like it's locked in on three sides, so like everything is like super bent over, and I'm not a young guy anymore, it's bending over on a 45 for like a half
It's
hour
hard for a
anymore,
while.
really.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I don't dig the scrog anymore, and it serves its purpose, and everybody's
Right.
methods, what is good, what works for them. But for this old guy intense, where maybe it'd be different if I could walk, both sides of it and then reach in from, I'd probably go the other way because I can appreciate the method, but intense, man. At least like this, where they're all,
Yeah.
and what I'm talking about too is like there's actually another row of tents behind this, brother. And they're all LEDs, but there's a couple 4x4s in there, so you can't get in from the sides there. And them are the ones that are
Yeah.
scrogged out, and they're just locked into what
You're just
you can
looking
get
at
from
it,
the
just
front.
like,
Yeah, in fact, nothing against the light manufacturer here, but this is what you get for a little bit for listening to them. And I get it. I right now I'm dealing with Bloom Plus, Mars Hydro, and back over there is Active Grow LED. And turn the light. It looks better like this, and that's what I've got back there. I had it hung for grower you know, tuition and what works best for me. You know what I mean? And then took a
yeah,
couple shots. Oh, you can't see the bars. Can you turn the light the other way? All right. I turned the light the other way for pictures purposes. And he
yeah.
ran the scrog. And now that everything's locked in place with the 4x4, he's like, you should lower the light down. And I'm like, yeah, I would love to if I could reach it.
Right.
Right. There's no way because of the way the lights hang.
The time for
I
changes
can
have
reach
passed. Like we are gone. That ship has sailed.
Yeah.
It's
You would've
just whatever
listened to
happens
me.
in that tent happens in that tent, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, I
But
mean, at
yeah,
least you'll probably get a good harvest from it. Just gonna be a bitch to, pull that shit out and trim it up, as you know. But yeah, I'm a firm believer in the more plants versus less scrog. Like I like to see it green over the scrog. Smaller plants to me are just easier to pull. There's more of them, but they're easier to pull down, break down. You spend less time fucking around with shit. Like, just overall saves you time, and I feel like you can still get pretty good yield just throwing a bunch of plants in there. If you don't have a plant count limit, that's the one gotcha, I guess. That a lot of people just struggle with. One day it'll change, though, right? Maybe.
we're all
Probably
hoping.
not.
We're all hoping.
I like
So are
Oregon.
you
You can at
still in
least grow
Rockwell?
4. No, we do
You're still in
cocoa.
Rock-
We do cocoa, but we are gonna do some rockwool, and maybe do. I don't know. I don't know. We might do some cocoa and rockwool in this next run, side by side, after the room is reset, and then I think possibly even do 2 different newt lines as well. Like I run Perfect Grower right now, so we'll probably use that, and then I like Athena. Everyone uses Athena. It seems like a good line, but we might just try that front row ag, or I don't know. Maybe we'll try Athena. We'll see. It's kind of expensive, but everyone's super hype on it right now. I feel like it's just easier. It's not necessarily better, but I don't know. To me, a lot of those new lines are very similar. Like the ratios are slightly different. You want to find a good one, but at the end of the day, if you're feeding it right, and the new line's solid, like you're gonna see results. Doesn't take a lot of special stuff. Personally.
How many different strains are you running at the moment?
We've been right now. We have our form cut Girl Scout cookies and glitter apples in flower right now. The last run in there, and that glitter apples is the first time we ran it was 1 run ago. So I literally that's what I was bucking today were those plants. So it's my first time seeing it dried, and I wasn't a big fan of it growing. I mean, it's short, stocky plants, big buds, so that's nice. Looked really frosty in the beginning, and then as it ends flower, it looks like kind of swaggy, like outdoorsy. I don't know, it just didn't look as good. So I was just like, and it hasn't really smelled that much the whole time. The terp profile is kind of weak, and then we hung it up, and it's been drying for like 2 or 3 weeks. And I was chopping it down today, and now like at the end, after it's been drying, like it looks really pretty. It's got like a nice purple color to it. It has really good trichomes, super frosty, sticky. So it's crazy how just, you really got to, like, when you're testing plants, run them all the way and not make a decision till the end. I mean, I still don't think it's something we're going to keep because the terp profile still isn't really there. I'm not smelling much. Maybe after a couple of weeks curing, that might get better, but still, like, in our experience, most time, if there's not a lot of terpenes when it's growing or flowering, then it usually doesn't really show up big at the end, and that's kind of big for us. So, but it is really pretty, so it turned out good. And then I think on our next run, we just took cuts for that the other day. We're doing wedding cake, dosilato, uh, diamond OG. I feel like there was one other one, but I'm not quite sure. I don't know. Maybe it'll come back to me in a second. But that's what we're gonna do next run. That hortichata or whatever it is, we might run that after that run, because that one looks pretty neat. But I don't know. There's so many good strains out there, man. It's hard. It's hard to pick and choose what to run. We liked our Limonati a lot, the one we got from Montu Gardens, which is Lamange times Biscotti. And that one turned out real nice, but we still need to do another test run and make sure, no herm is going to like show up or anything like that. Just give it another good go, make sure everything looks good before we try to fill up a table with it. But so we might do that one too in the future. But yeah, man, it's hard to pick good strains, and you also got to pick, something that sells. We try to throw in like a commercial yielding, like, a good strain in there, but I don't know. We like running the more unique ones that are just may not yield as much, but they're just way better terp profiles and THC percentage. I'm up in the air about. I don't think it matters that much. I smoke weed that's 18% that got me super high, and weed that's 33%. I didn't feel high at all. So I think terpenes have a lot to do with how the THC affects you, and so it's like a whole package deal. It's not just like high testing is going to get you high results. So yeah, we're just trying to pick strains that produce good resin. At least, test in the 20s most of the time, but we try to throw one in there every now and then that's just straight terpenes. It's never going to test high, but the smell is like so pungent, it's some of like our favorite weed. So, but yeah, it's hard, dude. I don't know. It's hard to keep up with all the strains and what to run, and there's a lot out there. There's a lot out there. What's your favorite strain,
Sure.
would you say right now?
That's a toughie because I'm pretty cannabis snobby, to be honest with you. And I'm notorious in saying that the famous burner line, what I got right here is it ain't even out yet, basically half the time, and it's very true. Because I've been a seed tester for so many people for such a long time. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
90% of the time, what I'm smoking isn't even out yet. You probably won't even hear of for another year or so. So I
That's
don't
awesome,
have a
though.
whole lot of favorites. I don't usually cling to what's current. I tend to stay way the fuck away from it because if I am trying to get rid of something to a patient, I don't want it to be too prevalent. And
Yeah.
I was hitting two there earlier on. I tested for sub for 10, 12 years easy. And then I've tested for Ocean Grown for a long time, Med Grower One, and a bunch of other breeders. So I'm always popping something that's
New.
somewhat new and
There's not like
hoping for
something
the
you ran
best.
that you're just like, man, that was nice. Like that was really nice. It's
Well,
gotta be like a
out of the realm of like people I've worked with, one of my
uh
favorites is Red Dragon, which I believe was like a
red
Barney's
dragon.
Farm seed. And that thing was just, it was a beautiful plant to work with. I mean, the buds were like a super lime green, and the hairs were like a dark red, and it smelled like a passion fruit, kind of like something that
Mm,
was you hinted on, but that was very rare. And then the bud structure was super dense. That was a favorite of mine to both grow and smoke. but
Nice.
it was early on back in the. I was flipping at that time. I think I had like 30 some strains. I was kind of flipping through.
Damn, that's a lot,
Not
dude. Yeah.
everything, man.
And would you say
Yeah.
most like when you're hunting, do you most of the stuff you say is sellable, like it all turns out really good. You don't ever have some that are just like, oh man, this is not even at this point,
No,
everything
I
you
would
test
say
turns out pretty good.
I would say a good 92% right. To be honest with you, there has been a few that have been, eh, and and some of that has been just. There's been a couple that weren't that great, and then just a couple that just didn't fit. I had one that was 12 weeks. I and I think I got the last run. I ran it 3 times actually.
Hmm.
Pulled it, different times. And the last time I let it run 12 weeks and pulled it down in
Damn, that's a long
frustration.
time.
Pulled it down in frustration. It could have went
Some land
longer, and
race
I
or
was like,
something.
I pulled it down, took it straight to the processor. It was like, I am done with this thing. Just
I've tried. I
couldn't do
tried.
it. But in the
Yeah, that's
same
tough. That's a long
aspect, with
time.
that being said, though, brother, man, back especially, it's harder to say this now because things have changed in the last year or so here in Michigan. But there used to be, and there still are, clubs for caregivers there where you could go and table, okay, next to side by side, caregiver to caregiver, and they would always be running. I almost knocked my kombucha there. They would always be running, something similar or the same clicky, type shit. And
Mhm.
then I would show up with, and it was always funny because at these times it was like TGA shit, fruity shit that they
Yeah,
never
yeah.
had, and I would dog them out every time. I'd pack up, you know what I mean? I'd have like from a 3:30 to 10 slot and be packing it up at 7. Where
Just
they
already sold
guys
out,
would be
like
like,
done.
yeah, yeah. Actually, there was one time at the one club, I actually had the cat would hit me up right as soon as I sat down and started unpacking it. And he'd go, how much do you want just for everything? Just take the
Just
fuck
let
out.
me take all of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
And
awesome.
it was all because of that turn profile, man. If you go
Yeah.
against the grain, when people, especially true, when people can nose jars, you know what I mean? When they go 30 different tables and it's like same, same, same. What the fuck is this? You
Yeah,
know what I
right.
mean? And it works. It
Yeah, yeah.
works.
That's pretty awesome though. I mean, yeah, people, yeah, especially if they haven't had any of that fruity stuff, and yeah, So Cool is known for like going that direction with a lot of his strains. So, and he had some unique stuff that was pretty awesome. But people always
But
like
with
new things, you know. That's that's what I was gonna
but
ask.
with that,
What's your herm rate like? Do you have a lot of herms that you have to pull? Do you run any feminized seeds?
yes, I've run both actually, and the herm rate's pretty good to be honest with you. I want to say 75% or better. It's not too often that I get some herms, and again, what do you want to call herm? You know what I mean? Are we calling
Throw
a
in
herm a
sacks.
full out? Yeah, herm
Oh
fully
no, like
ball,
yeah,
or
anything
do you
like
call it a banana? Stress. You know what I mean? If I see a
yeah.
banana, I'm calling that. It's technically a herb, but that's stress to me. That's more
Yeah.
of a last line to survive there, and that's what
Mm.
a lot of people will call a herm there. And when I see them, it's usually from some sort of stress. And most of the time when I see it, it's usually because the strain is just finicky. It isn't because of
Yeah.
like a light leak or something like
Right,
that. It's
right.
because it don't like to be pushed a little bit harder. I find that to be the most common denominator in anything. Is like some strains just don't like to be pushed after week 5. You continue with the regular regimen, and then they're throwing bananas. When you back off a little bit, that same strain won't throw a banana. I found that in a few cases that if you just back off on that, it didn't like heavy feeding. in the second,
Yeah.
half of flowering there. And that can be a good cause right there. And do
Yeah.
you want to go back and tell the breeder it's a herm? It's kind of hard. It's more to say that there's a chance, but it's not necessarily a herm. It should be
Oh
on the
yeah,
left
no,
side.
it doesn't. Yeah, and some of those don't even like, they don't even pollinate. You don't even see any seeds, right? You'll just see that pouch pop out. But yeah, to me, it's just if I see anything, I'm not as brave as you, Eagle. Like I'm just like, no, no, I'm good on that pheno. I'll just go to the next one. It's not worth it. Just because that chance is there, right? And when you get when you get more and more plants, it's like if something goes wrong or doesn't go right, you don't want to risk it on a plant being finicky. There might be some stuff out there that's worth risking it for, though. There could be some strains that are like, yeah, it might hurt him a little bit, but it's so fucking fire, like it's worth growing. So
Well,
yeah.
I heard that just Sunday from Rascal Farmer. He was smoking his Munson, and he's like, "Man, I tell you right now, this shit knocks my dick in the dirt." 25-year grower. He's sitting here telling me, and I know Rascal. He's a
Yeah.
heavy smoker.
Yeah.
I've smoked with him, and for him to sit there and tell me, this is putting my dick in the dirt, but he's same thing. He's like, it could throw a banana late in flower, but I'm willing to risk it for
Yeah.
this strain.
That's what
So
I'm saying. Yeah.
I thought,
See?
yeah.
They're out there. There's out there.
And another thing for me though, it's like a tester. I kind of feel I view it a little bit different than a lot of people do too. When I work with a
Yeah.
few people and I take seeds, I take it as like a badge of honor to give you the report you should get. I've actually used to argue with Sub about test results because sometimes he wanted them a little quicker than I wanted to give them. And I'm a firm believer that I should be able to run the strain twice. To be
Yeah.
able, because I think the second round things come
I think
out
you're
different. In
absolutely
the
right.
first round,
Mm-hmm.
I let it come up au naturel, see what I'm getting. Second round,
Right.
I manipulate it. That's when I give them the report usually, and a lot of them want that report first round. So, like you
Right.
said, even though if I get that one the first time, I feel obligated to run it one more time to kind of figure out what the fuck I did wrong.
I think it's,
So
yeah,
it's
man. If you can even run it 3 or 4 times, like if you have that kind of time, it's definitely worth it just to see how it does. I'm a firm believer now. Whenever we run seeds, I do stress them a little bit in flour. Just if it's gonna hurt under stress, like I just need to know that up front. So I do probably cause a higher herm rate than maybe others, just because I do that. But I mean, to me, it's just I'm just trying to find very stable, stuff that's still really good, obviously. But yeah, if I ever meet someone that's been down that path and they're like, no, this one's worth it, I'm all about running something like that. But yeah, I'm not brave enough to like go find out for myself at this point. It's too hard. But
things are I think things are a little different for you, my friend. I'm surprised to be honest with you on the scale that you're on that you're risking it. To be honest with you, and you're not a cut only guy bringing things that are in tried and true. That you know what I mean? Because when you,
yeah,
just like you said, when you're popping seeds, you are doing a little bit of a pheno hunt. You have to stress and find out. I can see
yeah,
it.
it's a bitch for sure. We did like last time. I think, I mean, you do probably lose a little money doing it, but we did, maybe a quarter of the table with pheno, like new phenos of some different seeds, and just your yield probably isn't going to be the same because some were males, some got pulled out for herming, so obviously the density goes down a little bit. But we sold it as like a pheno pack, so technically the same strain, but it's multiple phenos. So, but they paid the same price for it as they're paying for our regular stuff. Um, which I kind of thought was interesting. And some people might be into that. I don't know. Some people might not like it at all, but you get a pack and you get a quarter or something, and it's going to be like it's the same strain, but one bud might be purple. You might have a green bud. One might smell a little more like lemons. Like one, it's kind of I don't know. As long as I feel like all the buds are good, like they're good genetics, it's fire either way. some are better than others, but people kind of like the whole phenopack idea. So I think you could do it a little bit, just a small part of your room, but it is a risk in the sense that you lose a little money and you have to be in there every day checking for herms. Like you can't, if one sac opens up in a room like that with air circulation, I mean, one plant can pollinate a pretty good amount of plants itself, right? So you just have to be on top of that. But I got a lot of experience with checking for herms, so I can do it all day long.
It's kind of a necessary evil, though, really. I mean, if you
Yeah.
don't do the seed pop every so often, then you're kind of locked into what's, like we are talking about earlier, what's current, what everybody has. Yeah. As as a grower, you're always looking for that one. We were talking about that the other night. I had a green 13. Yeah, he's right there in check. UK grower. On we were talking about community love and passing on strains, and I'm like, come on, green 13. We all say we pass on strains, and I'm like, but in realistically, isn't it more like we pass them out when we're ready to move on and we want to keep them? So we're tucking them away to good friends. I said, you try to tell me you don't have one that you just want to show up and pass out that none of your buddies have, and they're looking forward to seeing you because you've got that one. You know what I mean? I'm like, come on. He's like, yeah, you're right.
That just made me think of the other strain we're gonna run. It's apple fritter, because it is like a strain I've wanted to run, but it's really hard to get a hold of. Like the guy doesn't give it out to anyone, so it's just that's exactly that kind of strain though. He has it. Some of his very close friends have it. I've heard people paying up to 12K for cut, like, so it's very few and far in between. And I'm sure, like, as it gets out now that people can sell it and whatever, like in a year he'll just be like, all right, whatever, like, everyone can have it, I don't care anymore. But people definitely hoard stuff when they find something good for a little bit. I'm a firm believer in at least giving someone a cut just for safekeeping, if anything. Like a couple people doesn't hurt, but just if you lose your room for whatever reason or lose a strain, it's nice to have a backup.
Oh yeah, for sure. I learned lessons early on. My first lesson was actually with the provisioning center I was working with for a long period of time. And they're like, "Oh, my one friend needs some clones. Can you hook us up? Can you hook me up?" And I gave him a bunch of my shit. And then it didn't fail. 4 months down the road, here I come, to market it again. Oh, full of that. Oh shit. Fresh out competing against my own shit, man. I was like, lesson learned. Lesson learned. So that was the last time I did that.
Life's all about learning lessons, Eagle, It's lesson after lesson. Nick, what is your number one strain? Oof. Man. I don't know. I really like, man, I don't know why. I just really like Gorilla Glue number 4. It's kind of like I know people feel a certain way about that strain, but for some reason that strain to me, the high is really nice. I really like that. It's just that perfect amount of just heavy hitting, relaxing, but not racy. Like I don't feel any head high from it. I really like the feeling of that, but that's also like a Kim feeling. So I'm sure if I had a good Kim strain, that I'd probably enjoy that one just as much because it's very similar high. But other than that, man, I'm kind of excited about our new Illuminati strain to try and run that. But Dosi Lotto, I like Dosi's a lot. Can't wait to run that. Man, I don't know. Sylvia likes OGs. That's her thing. Any good OG is what she's about. The things that just hit hard. And I feel like good OGs, you can smoke them every day, and like the tolerance wall isn't there. Like you don't all of a sudden not like stop getting high. Like it's just, I don't know. For someone that smokes every day, I feel like OGs are are pretty good compared to like a cookies where you smoke it and you like if you're smoking it every day, you know, you might 30 minutes, 45 minutes, your high is kind of like wearing off or whatever. And it's not as strong. I don't know. I think the highs are a big thing. It's so different depending on what you're smoking. And I like ties a lot too. We have the Cookie Berry Crunch from Riot Seeds, and that's like a Thai blend. And that thing is super anti-anxiety, very relaxed, mellow high, not super heavy. That's probably one of our favorites too. And that terp profile is insane. That's the strain I've been trying to recover for over a year. That's looking promising.
What's your favorite terp profile?
I like the dank, like gassy, funky smell. We had some garlic cookies the other day that was just like, I don't even know how to explain that smell. It was so funky and weird. It's from Resin Ranchers. We got it at a club, and man, it was just like it was dank, but not like the normal dank OG smell. It was kind of off, and I don't know, but I like kind of those funky smells. I don't not too into fruity stuff really. I mean, some live resin with some flavor is good. I'm not against it, but not so much into the super fruity flavors. And Sylvia's kind of the same way. She's more like the dank stuff. You know, not like lemony, any of that stuff, piney, none of that cat piss shit, none of that stuff. Not a fan. What about you? What's your favorite terp?
Well, originally it started out fuel, kind of swayed to fruities at some point, then back to fuel.
Oh, I guess you ran like
Currently,
TJ. So.
yeah. Currently, it's I'm chasing after the pines. I want to find.
Oh yeah, you like the
that
pines?
Pine.
Damn. I grew a strain from it's one of Pedro's friends. Oh, Medically Fit, like 2 years ago in Washington when we had just started. And man, it was called Noble Charlotte. And dude, it smelled super piney, like crazy strong. I think and it tested at like 22 or 23% or something like that. It was pretty decent, but I like that smell. I'm not super opposed to it, but it's just I don't know. I'm not a huge fan. It's not something I want to smoke every day, but I like that it's super pungent. Like most strains that have that strong piney smell, it's like overwhelming, you know, like loud. I like any weed that's got strong terp profile.
Very clear-headed for me. You know,
Is
it's
it?
like, oh yeah, oh yeah. First
So what do you
round,
prefer? Like the more like heady, like kind of get you up high, or the more lazy kind of sit you down high?
during the day, the more kind of keep me going uply. But I like to keep something around, kind of like 9 pound hammer is usually what I keep around to help put me to bed. Something heavy indica. But
Yeah.
them pines, I get a little bit of anxiety, and you know, for me, the pines work really well for me. They just kind of sweep it out with the first hit, just and
Yeah.
kind of relax. Yeah,
That's nice.
And then if I double up, it's one's good for like getting shit done. Two's like good for sociable. You know what I mean? You start smoking, bring out that smile, and good conversation. That's what I like about mine.
Well, if I manage to save this cookie berry strain, when we grow it again, I'll have to get you some of it because it's just like that high that you're explaining right there. It's overwhelmingly soothing and just relaxing, but you still kind of uppity, do stuff, and and it has a blueberry like smells like sour blueberries after it's been curing for a couple weeks. It smells like straight blueberries at harvest, and then after a couple of weeks of cure, it's just like sour blueberry smell, and man, it is so unique and so good. But it's just like that high. It's very chill, kind of waves over you like this euphoric, just little no problems, you know. It's really unique, man. I don't know. That's why I've been trying so hard to get it back. But and the guy, the breeder, he you know, no one has the cut anymore. And I sent it to him, but he lost it. And and there's only a version 2 out that he has. But he would have to remake that whole line if we tried to get it back. And it's just like, it's just like I just want this plant to live. But man, putting it outside made all the difference. Just threw it in some soil for a summer season, and it kicked that viroid, and it's like growing, and never would have believed it, but it fucking totally worked. Mother Nature, dude.
Oh yeah, I'm a firm believer in that myself. To bring out some bigger back end strains, just throw them back out there for a year. Rascal Flats, where's Rascal Flats? Ah, that'd be funny. Rascal Farmer, when he was on Sunday there, he was talking about how he's actually kind of trained the strains that he had for our environment by putting them out and then bringing them in, putting them out, and bringing them in. You know, he said that he felt by taking the cuts off of the plant that was in the native soil, it was kind of like bringing some of that environment in with it. You know what I mean? Both on the leaves and what it had taken up from the ground. So when it came back for the next round, it was slightly more acclimated for our area that time around. He kind of feels that every time he does that, it's becoming more and more acclimated for our climate. And I think there's some truth to that. You know what I mean? Both the sun
Oh
and
yeah, for sure.
sucking in the native microbes from the soil is helping adapt it.
Yeah, I mean that's like the whole thing about or one of the things about KNF farming is that you're collecting those microbes in your local native area, and that's what you're using to like build your IMOs with and stuff. And that getting those whatever those microbes that are resistant to whatever diseases around there, they're used to the climate, like getting that introduced into your soil and stuff is it's a big part of it. And so I think like you're saying, when you put it out there, just acclimates and gets better and better every year because it's naturally in that environment. Something happens. I don't know. I mean, I grew it every which way inside, put it in organic soil, fed it all organic, like amendments, like everything, just nothing, like no growth, just stunted, and just threw it outside in a compost pit I had from vegetables in like 2 years ago, and just threw some water on it, and I haven't touched it in months, and it's like all new growth, totally blew out of whatever it had, which I think was that HPLVD viral. That's the only thing that it would be, and yeah, it was amazing. I don't even know. And there's nothing. I used like soil and everything inside. Something about being outside just made it click. I don't know.
I think it's that
Science.
Full spectrum.
Science. Could be. Yeah.
Full spectrum of that sun. Yeah.
Could be. Yeah, that's our dream, man. One day we just want to do some greenhouses because I feel like that's the ultimate win. A little bit of supplemental light, a little bit of sun. Just that would be pretty sick. They're expensive though. Those greenhouses are not cheap.
No.
But that's the ultimate gardening, I think.
That's a whole nother level of the game right there. We're talking. It is. It is.
Mm-hmm.
I've had some of the
You're right.
greenhouse growers on, and they tell me, I assumed was that outdoor would be outdoor. You know what I mean? Greenhouse
Yeah.
or whatever. And they're like, no, not even. There's a huge difference between outdoor greenhouse and indoor. And I'm like, really? They're like, oh yeah, man, you have to be in there all the time, kind of controlling humidity and heat and everything. And
Yeah.
outdoors you can just kind of let everything go and try to keep everything away. I
Yeah,
never
you
really
just
considered that.
it's hard, man. There's a lot to it, but there's some people that are really good at it, and I've seen some greenhouse that looks like indoor. I mean, it is like really high quality stuff that they can push out of there if they know what they're doing. It's impressive. It's impressive. But yeah, I think that's the ultimate win. You don't spend a lot of money on electricity. You get to use the sun most of the time. Still have a controlled environment for mostly for the most part.
So how would your thoughts be on like switching to organic at that point?
Oh, that's what we're doing. That's our plan moving forward. We're basically just starting our new spot. We're gonna continue doing things the way we've been doing them, except for changing the lights, of course. But we're building multiple buildings, so each building has bedrooms and flower rooms and all that stuff. And what we'll do is we'll start switching. We'll start with one building, and we're gonna start doing the beds first, and then we'll go into an organic soil, kind of start down the no-till path with that room. We'll do our KNF inputs, and we're basically going to just take our numbers that we're getting from our salt rooms, because we'll have a consistent number value. We'll know how much it's producing. We'll know the error rate, the failure rate, um, and our idea is just to see how close we can get to mimic that with an organics room, right? And kind of like the toss up, and obviously I think if you get it down, you can overcome this. But even with organics and KNF style farming and the no-till gardening, all that stuff, you can have a higher failure rate, or you can have lower yield, right? So it's hard to match the yield of like a salt, automatic drip feeding system that's feeding this much food every single day, right on schedule, right? But if the amount of work you're doing is 50% less work, then your margin technically is higher at the end, right? Like you're yes, you didn't yield as much, but you also spent like 50% less on labor. So you still made more money in the end, right? Or at least your margin's higher. And then you're growing in a more sustainable way. It's healthier for everything. And that's kind of our goal, is to just do something where our waste from our indoor facility goes to what we're growing outside, and we use the plants outside to feed what we're growing inside, right? Just create this whole like recycling circle, right, of life. But that's like our end goal. So that's our plan. We just get these buildings up. We'll start with converting one, and then we'll just try to roll it throughout. And then ideally be able to take that to other farms and say, this is what you're doing now. And we know how that works. Like we can show you our numbers. We can show you what we were doing, but we can like teach you a better way, more sustainable way to grow. If you guys are willing to like, you know, make a little bit less, but your margin again will be higher. So it's kind of like, that's kind of how I think you're going to have to sell it to people. Um, but that's, it's going to take some time to get there, but I think I'm hoping within 5 years, we can kind of at least have one building going pretty good, have some SOPs built, and try to kind of get some business plan together where we can help people switch the way they garden at a commercial scale, right? Because I mean, there's definitely farms that are wasteful, but I don't know. My buddy worked in irrigation his whole life, and dude, there's a lot of people that are more wasteful than cannabis farms. I mean, some of these apartment complexes and suburb places, like these developments, they waste so much water and grass. Like it's ridiculous. It's crazy. People would lose their mind if they knew how much water they were using, but they're so inefficient with it. They don't care to get better. It rains, it waters, it doesn't matter. They don't look at soil health. They don't look at moisture levels in the soil. Like there's no calculations there. It's all. So yeah, I just feel like eventually as a society, we're going to have to get a little bit better about taking care of everything. And I don't know. So that's kind of what we want to work towards. But it's going to be a long road, man. I'm sure we'll have a lot of failures switching over, but the whole point is we'll have everything going. Like it's fine. We can afford that building not to be producing, right? Like everything else will be taken care of. Bills will be paid with everything that's already running, and then we can just play in that building and just continue to figure out a way to make it work and try to apply that in other places. So, but shit, man, yeah, that's a dream though. That's our dream. It's just gonna take a lot of work to get there.
I think in the end there, I think that boy, I always being a salt grower, I always take a lot of shit when I start agreeing with the organic side of shit. But
I
I
mean,
think there,
it's a place for
I think
both,
when
right?
you get a bed going there, you know what I mean, and you've got things pumping along. You've got your inputs to where you want to. You had the soil tested a few times. I think the weight will be consistent to what you were doing before. It'll just be a little different. setup. You know what I mean? You'll be used to watering all the time, where it's like you said, less labor intensive. You know, but,
Yeah, that's my thing, man. Like we're way big into the KNF thing, the Korean natural farming, and they grow these plants in Hawaii, like these mangoes and lettuces and shit that are just huge. Like they flower and they're yielding like huge amounts with this natural farming method. So I'm just like, I understand, like I hear the reason I say we're not gonna yield as much because that's what everyone who I follow and like, a lot of organic people, the numbers when I get them from them, that's kind of what I'm seeing. But to me, it's like, I think if you're doing it like just right, if you really figure it out, like I feel like you should be able to hit the same numbers or better, with feeding them naturally. Just the big KNF thing is like if you're feeding a human being like this strict synthetic diet, they're gonna like have the energy or whatever the calories they need, all that, but their body's not meant to break it down, so it's gonna suffer in other ways. Then you feed them a natural diet, like they'll still get the same stuff, but it's food that their body is meant to break down, so they won't suffer the same type of diseases or failures, and that's the whole natural farming technique. Is just give the plant proteins that they can actually digest, that they're meant to digest. They don't have to, figure out a new way to eat food all of a sudden. And I think you can see some amazing results. So it's just going to take a lot of testing and playing around with, but we have plenty of people that have been doing organics for a while that are willing to help us. And I think, with their help and the KNF people over there, that it'll just be a matter of time, just playing with it, figuring it out. And then our idea is to share that, so other people can learn and do it for themselves if they want to. And that's what our whole KNF page on Instagram is going to be. It's not going to be like following what we're growing every day or following the new buildings and the cannabis stuff. Like that'll all still be his and her grow. Like KNF Farms page is literally just going to be like an encyclopedia of information about KNF farming practices, and like, in a way for people to sort through them. And how do you make this FPJ, and what stages, here's IMO 1, IMO 2, here's the different processes, and I'll have pictures and videos and descriptions and information and all that stuff in every post. And that's what that page is like meant to do. So but it's just gonna take some time to get there.
I can't help but wonder that again, just kind of like brainstorming here with you on air a little bit. I don't know.
Shoot it, you.
Food for
Shoot.
thought here. Um, how do you think your strains, your indoor strains, your salt strains, will do out there in the natural environment? Do you expect like a lag period till they acclimate to, the natural environment, the soil? And if you, that's kind of, I believe it's true myself. Do you actually think at one point that once them strains acclimate to the soil side of things, that at that point then clones will be coming from different sides? I mean, the outdoor soil clones will kind of want to be soil clones, so there isn't an acclimation point. You know what I mean? And then the
Yeah,
salts have to be stayed on that side, so there isn't that lag. You think that that will be a thing?
I think that is totally a thing. Like you see that when you go from an aerocloner to any type of medium, there's like that day or so where it has to transition how it's eating because it's used to getting fed through aeroponics, and then all of a sudden it's in this medium where there's like this cash and exchange rate or whatever. Um, so I think there's definitely going to be some type of, and if you take a strain like you're saying from salts and flip it to organics, I think if you're doing it right, there shouldn't be too bad of a lag. I would see that it would probably get better the second and third run for sure. I do see your point. But these buildings are set up so they have their own bedrooms and their own flowering rooms. So when we switch one over, like everything that building will switch over. So everything will be coming from, they will be probably aerocloners to soil most likely, but maybe Rockwell cubes. I don't know, but they will be in soil. They won't be coming from like a salt fed system and then going into these beds. So, and my thought is we're going to do the beds, small plants, and just plug them, just do a lot of small plants in the bed right next to each other, line them up. And then you finish the run, you just cut out that little root ball, add some soil if you need to, and just keep plugging and spitting out runs. Um, so But I think, the first run might be rough. The second run probably be a little bit better. Hopefully by the third run, the soil's a little established. We have a better idea of how everything's working, and the plants are used to it, like you're saying. And we'll hopefully start getting some decent results. And I think,
I
yeah,
can't
I
wait
totally
to
think it's
follow
possible,
on.
dude. Yeah, it's totally possible. We know some organic guys here in Oregon that do a great job in their greenhouses, and we're just more all about the organics, but I really want to push the KNF farming. That's sometimes when you're buying all these amendments, like where they're sourced, where they're getting them, how much it takes to get them to your place. Like, there's still cost associated with that. It's not like salts are salts, but there's still a cost associated with getting some of these organics. So we really want to push more towards the using what's naturally around you to build your nutrients versus having to import stuff. You know, that's that's kind of what we're going for. Nothing against organics. Love organics. I'm just saying. Love all styles of growing. As long as you care about the quality of your weed, I don't care how you're growing it. Minus PGRs and pesticides. Don't use that shit.
Well, man, why wouldn't you want to step outdoors and do it as natural as possible? I mean, you know,
Right.
talk about narrowing your costs down to as low as you can get them. I mean, it only makes sense. You know what I mean? For a great product that you're slimming down all your inputs and time, it just why not? I would do it.
Yeah.
If I
My
lived in a
buddy.
better climate, I sure
Yeah,
would try it.
that is true, right? You do have to probably live in like a certain climate to get away with it because it could be rough in like somewhere like Arizona or Texas or something. But if you're in the right spot, yeah. I mean, our buddy does 100 to 150 pounds in two little greenhouses he has, and his running cost is about a little less than $500 a month. It's nothing. It's nothing. He has some fans like the air water cooled fans, those swamp heater style things. A little electricity for lights when he needs them, pumps and stuff, and some nutrients. And I mean, the cost, yeah, like you're saying, it's significantly lower, and you're still getting good results. Especially if you get it figured out. That full
I
sun.
think we had a whole week of summer here, brother.
A whole week to summer here? What?
Yeah, man,
Your
it was
summer's already
48
over?
last night. It was, yeah, it was barely 70 degrees today, and it was 48 last night.
Damn. It's August 5th. Wow. Maybe it'll come back. Maybe summer will come back.
We might get 1 or 2 days, but seems to be the average up here, man. I shit you not. I come from lower downstate here in Michigan. I moved up here about 5 years ago, and I come up here not pretty native to the area, thinking that Michigan, fuck, it's all the same. Fuck, it's
Right.
Michigan. It's not. It's completely night and day. I actually like shaking the guy's hand and shit on the way out. I've said this story a bunch of times. The guy shakes my hand after signing paperwork, and he's like, "Yeah, enjoy the 2 months of summer." And I'm like, "Huh? Bullshit." You know, that ain't right. You know what I mean? Same shit. This is Michigan. Where is this guy from? Yeah, it's pretty
Now
close.
you're up there. You're like, it's about 2 fucking months.
Yeah, there's no lie
that
to
sun
that.
is
There's like
gone.
1 month of fall, there's 1 month of spring, maybe 2 months, iffy, of somewhat, if you can call summer, and then the rest of the time is winter. And that is no lie. It starts
That's
snowing
rough.
here before Halloween, like a week before. And there's times since I moved up here, I haven't seen the ground again until almost the end of May.
I
There was
mean,
one year I was excited to
oof.
see my patio. In like spring, like March, I could actually the patio like actually unthawed, And I was like a crazy man out there, like, ha, yeah, this is fucking, yeah, spring. You know what I mean?
It's come. It's here.
Yeah,
Get the barbecue pit out. We're fucking doing this. Invite the whole
out
neighborhood.
there in shorts, yes, sitting on the picnic table. Hell yeah, it's time.
Dude, I thought we had it rough here, but man, that sounds worse than we have it because I think we get close to 3 months, but damn, 2 months and that kind of winter is rough. Our winter isn't that rough either, so that's some tough living, dude. At least you got AC 90% of the year, right? 80% of the year, whatever.
I don't even
So,
run AC right now, bro.
yeah, like that's what I'm saying. What do you need to?
I've got 4K
temperatures
running
outside.
right here. I've got these two lights behind me. I have lights behind the camera. I got another little tent over here, and then this light you can see part of right there. We're all
Yeah.
running right now. It's
Is that light above
78.
the tent?
Which one? Over here?
Yeah. But up at the top, is
It's
there like a light up there?
it is like right there. Yeah, it's
Oh, do you have a
it's up so I
fluorescent
can.
light above it? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh, I see. I see now. All right. All
it's
right.
just kind of up so I could get in there and manipulate. Usually it's kind of down more on them plants. But yeah, all that running right now, and it's 78 degrees in here. No air conditioning at all. There's none running in here. I'm just piping in. Like I have like a lung room. I'm drawing in the Michigan air through a filter, and it's getting
Nice.
filtered before it's getting brought in here, and then it just gets dumped in this room. And like I said, a air conditioner would have struggled to put out 48 last night. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And a couple of fans are dumping that shit in here for nothing, man. I ain't ran air conditioning the whole time I've been up here. That's about the
So I
only
mean,
perk
that's
about being up
that's a perk. That's a good perk, though. I mean, fuck, that's a AC ain't cheap if you're running that shit somewhere where it gets hot, So
here. Yeah, I've had 1 week up here where it kind of got a little warm, but it wasn't bad. It was,
yeah.
Make sure they're shaking, everybody's watered, no big sweat.
Just gotta take that one, Eagle. You just gotta take that one. Do you like it other than that though? Is there winter sports up there, or is it just like what do you do during the winter?
I shovel.
No,
I move
shovel
snow.
snow.
That's about my fucking marathon during the
Damn,
winter up here.
damn, it's rough.
And it's like 45 minutes to the nearest Walmart. So I'm like in the middle of I'm actually in a national forest. So there's
Oh, that's
like,
pretty cool.
yeah.
Do you have any plant like? Do you want to move, or do you like it over there?
Kind of getting used to it now.
Yeah.
Actually, especially with this mess going on, the current state of
Well, that's
things.
true. It's like you fucking couldn't go anywhere anyways. Like, so.
Well, well, the influx of people, now there's nobody up here, and now you kind of you see people coming up, you're like, stay home. We actually at
Yeah.
one point had to go down for some glasses, and they were like, "Do you got the COVID? Have you been around?" They were all worried about me. I'm like, man, I'm worried about you. Where you been? I'm coming
Yeah.
from
Who
the
you?
woods. I'm coming
Yeah, I
to the
don't talk to
city.
them.
I'm driving. I'm driving
I've been
2.5
quarantining.
hours to come to your city. What's going on there?
Yeah.
I'm just
No,
coming
for
for
sure.
glasses and I'm going back home.
For sure. It's crazy, man. It's just, oh, dude, it's like a whole new world. Like, we were at the coast and we're just like, oh, well, maybe we can go to the museum or the aquarium or something for the kids. And, dude, there's not one fucking thing open, It's just everything's closed. And, it sucks. Like, it's a weird time to be in. So, really, all you can do here is to go camping, or go to the national forest like where you live and just like go hang out and go to the lake or some shit like that. It's all the state parks are closed. Our playground in our neighborhood is closed. Like our kid can't even like play at the playground in the neighborhood anymore. Oh man, it's crazy. But yeah, when you go visit people or try to see family or something, you're just like, well, where have you have you been keeping safe? Where the fuck have you been? Like, I don't know. I feel like we might have got sick back in December, but I know some people that got really sick when they got it. So it's just like, damn, it's shitty.
Definitely a weird state of things. I went to cannabis. I've been to a couple cannabis events since this has been just small. I actually expecting huge. I expected them to be like off the hook big, just because I expected people to just be dying to get out of the house.
Right.
But it wasn't like that. They're pretty. They're good sized event. A lot of people there, but I expected bigger.
It wasn't like overcrowded or anything.
No, but it was
Not like it
nice to
used to
get
be.
out and feel normal. It was worth
Mm-hmm.
it to be out there. On the way down, I was like, because it was a 2 hour drive for me. On the way down, I'm like, oh man, is this gonna be some like super weird event where everybody's masked up, and how is that even gonna work? Is anybody even gonna be smoking because of
Yeah, and
the
then you all have to
mask?
smoke out of the same thing.
Yeah, and we got down there, and thankfully, people were acting normal. There wasn't a whole lot of, this was back just 710. That was 710, so a month ago. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
people weren't doing the mass things, and people were actually passing joints, and it felt very nice to feel and act normal for the day. You know what I
Fuck yeah,
mean?
dude.
Just the night.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
surprised
it
they had
was.
it. It's nice that they still had it because so many of those events I feel like get canceled because of it right now. But yeah, it's nice to have that. Ah, dude, and the not being able to shake hands thing, it feels so wrong. Like I hate that, Like just I don't know. All these little things that's changing. So yeah, it's nice to go to an event like that. Like we got to go to my mom's 60th birthday, so we got to see some family and friends down in Texas, and that was nice to just be out with them, hanging out at the pool, getting to smoke some stuff together, and yeah, it was a little bit of feeling normal. We did get to float the river recently, so that's pretty nice. There's plenty of people on there, just hanging out. I feel like it's pretty safe. You're all floating, 6 feet away or whatever, right? So kind of. Uh, but yeah, man, it's nice to get a taste of I don't know. You really cherish going out to a bar or something now, right? Like back then it was kind of whatever. Like, oh, do I even want to go out tonight? And now you're like, God, what I would do to fucking get out tonight and just like go somewhere and see something, fucking see a concert, like a movie, anything, just oh, dude, it's rough.
Is rough, man. Getting out and getting to see some stuff is nice. Anymore, just getting out and taking a cruise, just going down the back roads, rolling up a few is nice.
Yeah, that's what we try to do. We just go camping and we spend some time on the ocean, on the coast and stuff, but just little staycation style things or whatever. And still try to get out. We just got a 2-person kayak, so we're gonna go hit up the river and lake with that. Yeah, try to keep sane. Well, this and it sucks for Sylvia a lot because we have 2 kids, and the one is in school. She's going in the 3rd grade, and now like there wasn't any school for the last 2 months before summer, so she's been home since then. They're talking about not having school in the fall. Like, it's driving her crazy.
Oh man, my youngest. Oh, if you can believe this, brother, my youngest. This will be her senior year, and
Dang, it's crazy.
yeah,
You don't look a
25,
day over
21.
20, Eagle,
Oh, that's very nice of you. They're 25, 21, and 17, by the way. And so this is her senior year, and it's weird. We got a thing from her school this year, like a video of how things were to be. And I seen that, and I looked at her, and I'm like, "It's your year. Do you want to go through that, or do you want to homeschool?" She may homeschool this year because it was. They showed the kids being tested at the like bus stop with like a laser thing on the forehead there
Yeah,
before they
fever
even got on
test
the
or whatever.
bus. Yeah. Then mass throughout the whole day. They showed them like walking in single file lines, 6 feet apart, and like squares. This is for the elementary kids. Well, in the playground, they had like ten
Mhm.
foot squares for each kid to play in, and they couldn't play together, but in these squares. And it was like even more equipment was needed for like science, math, and stuff. But it,
Right.
they had to be weird. All I'm like, honey, if you want to stay home and homeschool, I'm behind you. If you want to, you know, if you want to go back for whatever reason to that, then I'm behind you as well. So it's your last year. She's leaning towards homeschool at this point.
Yeah, I would too, man. It's just that seems crazy to have to go through, right? Like they saw. Did you see that meme where it was like a little girl and her mom was like, dressing her up and was like, there's nothing to be afraid of. Your first day of school, and it shows her with like she's got the mask, the face shield, like a rain jacket on, like boots and stuff, gloves on. It's like, that's what it's gonna be like going back to school now. You're gonna be suited up in some hazmat suit. Yeah, that's a hard environment to like. Do you want to send them back into that? Uh, I don't know, but they still you want them to see their friends and stuff, so it's hard. I guess you can still schedule stuff with them and try to keep them because like so they can interact and stuff, right? They need to be able to talk to other people their age, right, outside of the family and shit.
It's kind of hard to deal with because, like, as a grower, most of us have a little bit of that introvert side. You know what I mean? And so having to stay home and be in the garden all the time is eh, is an average day. To be
Oh
honest
yeah,
with
for
you,
sure.
it's just not being able to go out and celebrate from time to time is the bummer.
Right.
But
No,
being
absolutely,
home doing
absolutely.
this, it's just an average day for
Oh
the
yeah,
most
that's
part.
I tell people that all the time. I was like, we've been living the quarantine life. I mean, we'll go try to do our camping trip or snowboarding trip or whatever, but other than that, we're just at home or at work. That's about it. Kids at school. So yeah, you just kind of, I don't know. When you're growing, you spend a lot of time at the garden. You can't really miss a day, so it doesn't make sense to spend a lot of time elsewhere. But it does suck occasionally not being able to go out when you want to go out or see some super shitty.
So is it just you two that kind of oversee everything, or do you guys get a little bit of help? I mean, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, no, just me mostly. She stays at home and watches the kids because we have the two kids, and so she stays home, watches the kids, and then we were getting to the point where we were having a babysitter come over so she could go help me at the barn, but then COVID hit, and so our next door neighbor is an older lady. She was babysitting for us, which was like perfect, easy. But she doesn't want to risk it because she's older and her husband's older or whatever. So I understand that. So it's just like, but it sucks now because it's harder to find a babysitter. No one really wants to do that at this point. And so she's usually home watching the kids, and I'm usually over there working. And then we have a buddy that will help us a little bit with trimming and stuff if we ask nicely. So, but yeah, I think going forward, it's going to change. I mean, I've been doing it myself for a while, but once we get everything filled up, like it's kind of impossible to do by yourself at that point. You could do it, but you're going to be taking so long to cut down and break down. Like there'll be these big gaps in between when shit gets done, and then stuff won't turn out as good as it should. So I think our plan is to just have like a team of four people or so that'll come in like 3 to 4 times for a run, just like during leaf plucking, transplanting, whatever, and help us. But up to this point, it's just been us. And she used to be in there a lot more, but then we had the other kid, and so she's been staying home a lot more with the other kid. I just gotta grind it out, Eagle. I just go, show up, and get shit done, and leave, and come back the next day and do it again. It's not impossible to do by
Guys,
yourself, right?
no, no, no. I do it all. What I do here, I do by myself. It's a
Yeah,
full time job, that's for sure.
it's a lot of
But
work.
it's
Yeah.
labor of love.
Exactly. I like that's what if I ever feeling shit, I'm just would I rather be doing this or working for someone else doing something else, right? I enjoy what I'm doing. I love growing, so it's an easy decision at the end of the day.
Yeah. I loved what I did before this, and I still do it to a point. But as I get older, standing on walls, several stories in the air, setting trusses, standing on 6 inches, several stories in the air, catching trusses. It becomes less and less appealing as you get older. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
standing with both feet on the ground, hanging out with the plants as I get older becomes more and more appealing. That's for sure.
You put up those trusses, the roof truss
Well,
things. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, those are fucking big. I saw those when they were doing ours. I was like, man, it doesn't. They're just sitting up there on the little wall they have built, just like catching this big ass truss, trying to set it down and get it in place. And yeah, I could see how that would be less appealing over time as you get older.
Oh
Maybe
man,
keep your
there's two
feet on the
things. You
ground.
gotta have a good rope guy too, man.
Yeah.
Actually, they fly them things like a kite. You got one guy on the rope on the ground, kind of flying it like a kite as it comes to you. I had one guy. I shit you not. I had one crying operator show up one day, and he was a one-eyed guy, and it was windy, and he had me just scared shitless. They're like, "Oh, he's really good." I'm like, "You
It's
sure?"
really good.
I mean, he's only got a half a field of vision there. I mean, I'm a couple stories up. We're good, and it worked out all right. It was actually very good, very good.
He's actually badass. He's just like, I don't even need both eyes. One eye and I can nail this. But yeah, that stuff is it's pretty intense, man. I can't imagine. Yeah. Especially if you're several stories up trying to put a fucking roof on. Like, oh, that's a long way down. I mean, you're tied in though, right? Like you have some type of safety harness thing. Like,
Oh hell no, nothing,
oh no, you're just up
nothing.
there, balls hanging
Yeah,
loose. Just
yeah. And a lot of
yeah.
times, there's you. Well, you set the gable first, and then you run ties up that kind of catch
Uh,
the truss as you slam it against. And then there's only like two of those butts up running up the wall to kind of sturdy that off. And then you're bracing everything off of that. So, as you get like 8 or 10 set, you have to start running diagonals back and forth. So somebody has to scurry up that, loosely set trusses there to the top of them while we're kind of just holding them like this, going, get a nail in that. While somebody's
yeah,
just
like get those
literally
shits.
counting on us holding them like this while you run up. Can get a little,
Mhm.
a little hectic.
Oh yeah,
Wind
fuck
can
yeah,
sometimes take that
fuck yeah.
gable and just domino them things down. I've seen, shit happen.
So would if you just stopped doing that, would you just try to do your garden full time, or is there something else you would do?
Oh no, I'm actually to the point now where the garden's a good portion of the time. But it wasn't just that. I mean, I did all aspects of construction. I mean, that was earlier phases. I still like to do that because it's a challenge. But I do cabinetry as well, tile work. Mainly buying custom woodworking, trim work. But yeah,
Yeah,
every
that's
so often you have to climb up there and set some trusses just so you can get to the
yeah,
good work.
yeah. Every so often you just got to risk your life or a couple legs, a couple limbs.
Man, this is the what I have. The one of the guys that trained me uh is still doing it. That cat is 65.
Damn,
65 still fucking framing houses. And
it's
he
crazy.
is just as burly and fucking as he
Probably a
ever
hard
was. He's
motherfucker, I bet.
He look you dead in the eye and go, you ever gonna retire? You'd be like, I'm gonna die as soon as I stop. The only thing
Damn,
that's
yeah.
keeping me going is doing this every day. And it's like, oh, I don't want to be you.
I don't
You
want
were,
to. I don't want
yeah,
to be you. I'm not into that.
you were a mentor at one time, brother. But yeah, it's time to change it up and go in a different direction, man.
Right.
But he was
I
an
mean, I
amazing
totally feel
carpenter.
like, yeah, I feel like being bored, you could get bored being retired, but you could find something better to do than that with your spare time.
To be honest with you,
It's
brother,
hard work.
I do work up here because when I come up here, I didn't tell anybody. I still don't tell anybody what I do up here. I kind of keep it under my hat, and so all the neighbors when they I come up with truckload of tools, and I still got I had my own company. I've got a lot of tools.
Yeah.
So when they come up, they're like, "What do you do?" I'm like, "Oh, carpenter." So I still get people come up. Can you redo my bathroom, or I need some tile done, and
Yeah.
so I still do it. You know what I mean, just to kind of keep my comfort a little bit. But I
Right.
miss it, to be honest with you. And when I do get them jobs and I'm done, I look back. I'm like, God, I miss the gratification of a job well done.
Seeing that
Just
finished work and
hands
just
on, yeah.
yeah.
The customer treating you like you're almost Superman. You come in and you fix that problem that they thought it was the end of the world. By the time you saved them a few bucks, it's all new again, and they're like, "Oh, I didn't know." And it's like, it's just a normal day, and it is just a normal day. But they
Yeah.
make you feel like a rock star at sometimes when you leave. It's an awesome feeling that you don't get a lot of
No, for
times
sure.
doing this. You know what I mean? You get some good feelings, but it's a different good feeling. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the gratitude of knowing that you've helped somebody out, but it isn't you did a great job, and I don't need that for helping somebody out like that. But
Yeah.
again, it's nice to hear sometimes. Like when you
Right,
finish a
right.
nice tile job and somebody pats you on the back.
Well, when people
But
tell your weed is really good, Eagle, then that's that gratification right there.
yeah,
They're like,
man,
man, Eagle, that was some
that
fire.
is.
That put my dick in the dirt. You're like, yeah, okay. That's so great. And you get to see the plants growing, right? You get to see that finished, what you spent all that time working towards that finish run. Yeah, I feel like though with cannabis it's hard because right after that you're gonna be trimming. And so
Uh,
it's exciting at the
that's
end,
to
but
me though. That's the payment right there is to be able to do not wake up in the day and hurt, and to be able to come work with these plants. And you know as well as I do, and everybody else that grows this plant. We start out being a stoner, and medicating maybe for recreational purposes, or you've been down the path where you've chosen to take it on for a medical reason. But when you start cultivating, it's a whole new fire. You know what I mean? It's a whole new outlet. You go in there and you
yeah.
can lose yourself into them plants. I mean, like you said, that 12 hours of bucking plants or whatever, it can pass by pretty quickly if you've got some good music on, you've lost
Yeah,
yourself into
right.
what's there.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of times I don't know if you're leaving your trouble at the door or if them girls are sucking it out of you when you go in. But and you could go be have some stress or a little carrying a little bit of anxiety when you get there. But man, it's like once you get in there, it's you lose it all at the door, man. A couple of plucking some leaves and you're in a different place. It's worth that.
True that.
That's the payment. That's the payment right there.
Get that
Being
zen
able to wake
feeling.
up and yeah, do what you want to do every day. And so I get it. My gratitude comes from that. Just being able
Yeah,
to be my own person, and spend my time with them
I feel
plants.
that.
Man,
Yeah. And when you look at it, it's like, yeah, it's super lucky to get to be able to do that. And not many people are that lucky. So,
life's a journey, man. And like I'm 48. To throw that out there, that number right out there. I'm 48.
just
Like
throw
I
that.
said, I've had three girls, and what life's taught me is, for me anyway, the dollar amount is very shitty anymore. It doesn't equal out the cost of living or your cost. It doesn't equal out your cost of being here on the earth. That's for sure. I think back as all them times that I went in construction mainly. You know, when I did things that, and I was happy to do construction, but did I hurt? You know, was there days I didn't want to be there? Fuck yeah. And then did there's many days when I worked overtime to, you know, put shit into my kids' mouth, toys and shit. Well, in the food part, yes. But the toys and shit that I worked over because they wanted that new PlayStation, and I thought, you know, I was going to be the ultimate dad by fucking putting in overtime to give them the fucking PlayStation that broke or whatever. In time, I look back, I'm serious. In time, when I look back, I think, man, I would have much rather worked 8 hours and been there playing with them girls, fucking doing whatever, and
Right.
made them work or whatever, respect that PlayStation instead of working the overtime and just dishing it out. Dad's not here. Here's a fucking PlayStation. Dad's not here. I'm gonna go to the store and get a fucking dress or whatever. I did that a lot. And looking back, man, I wish and a lot of times instead of dishing out that material shit because dad wasn't there, fucking I wish dad would have been there. You know,
Yeah.
looking back, I can't put a dollar amount on that shit. And nowadays, you know, I wish I could have did this now. I wish I could rewind and be able to do this now, walk around and be with my daughters. You know,
For
shit.
sure.
There might
Yeah.
even become a time in your life to where you can take your kids with you to work and spend a day
Oh
with them
man.
and
Right. That's that. I wish there. It's so dumb, because it's like, what are they gonna do? Eat a plant like that? Maybe get an upset stomach. That's about it. It's just like there's. I don't understand the. Yeah. Yeah. You can walk. The
it's
kid can
nature.
walk into a
I mean,
liquor
what the
store
fuck
with
is
you.
wrong with
But
teaching them nature?
yeah. Right. And they can walk into a liquor store with you and drink something that would kill them if they, drink half the bottle. But they can't be inside a cannabis grow. So yeah, that kind of stuff
And
is crazy to me, and maybe that'll change, or time will fly and they'll be old enough to be over there.
I think Green 13, out of all the people I've talked to, I've referred to areas again. He said it best when we were talking about the stigmas of cannabis and shit. You know, there used to
Yeah,
be the fucking cannabis is the gateway to other drugs. And he's like, no, cannabis is a gateway to horticulture. Because once I got, these are his words. Once I got started growing cannabis, it didn't stop there. It started, I started growing flowers and vegetables, and even in your part,
right.
you might have started growing some cannabis, but now we're talking about organics, growing out in the sun, being more of a steward of the
Yep.
earth and shit. And that, where'd
Permaculture,
that
all
come
that
from?
stuff. Yeah, it just yeah,
Cannabis.
exactly. Yeah, you're exactly right. I wouldn't have thought about growing my own vegetables and stuff like that, till a few years ago when we started this, and then you get more informed, you see other people doing it, and you're like, man, this garden stuff is pretty cool. Like growing plants is it's pretty awesome. And yeah, next thing you know, you want to have your own like farm. And I would love to be able to not have to go to the grocery store, dude. I would love that feeling. You know, that would be have some livestock and some veggies.
It would be bad. Sounds like you're getting yourself around there. Sooner or later, you might be in that position for sure.
Yeah, that's the goal. We're working towards it. We're working towards it. But we have plenty of space out there, so we're not limited in space anymore. And we don't have a mean landlord, so that's nice. And then that's a big part of it. So,
It's huge, man. It's nice to have a little bit of room and fucking, you
hmm
know, do what you want for a living. It makes it nice, man.
right,
That's for sure.
right, dude. Yeah, that's what we think. Just be able to do that, and it's not anything crazy, but it's enough for us to just she can stay home with the kids. That's huge, and so having that flexibility, like you said, is just it's massive, and it's worth the time and effort to get it so where it's sustainable enough where we can both go do stuff with them more often and not have to be tied to 9 to 5 every day. But
How do
we'll
you
see.
feel about, this is a question that I get to ask people now because it's becoming more of a thing. How do you feel about at some point that now as legalization marches forward, this could be something you could pass on as a legacy. I mean, what are your thoughts of, actually, passing it on at some point, to the kids? Would you?
Uh, for sure. I feel like we totally would. Um, that's kind of our plan. We're not trying to build something that we can sell. Like in a few years, if federal legalization comes around, when that happens, just like Canada, like they'll start buying out smaller, brands that they might think can help their image or whatever, or just have farms with licenses. You already see some of that now in Oregon because they haven't given any producer licenses in almost like a year and a half now. So now people are coming here, buying out farms and stuff just to get a hand on one of these licenses. And so, yeah, I think as that happens, it'll, shit, I totally lost my train of thought, Eagle. I totally lost my train of thought.
Talking about legacies.
Legacies. Oh, right.
Possibly
Thank
passing
you.
it
Thank you. So, yeah, so I think we want to build something that we can, hopefully move into other states and stuff. And that if those girls want to grow up and learn to do it, they could take it over and ideally just, leave something behind, right? I think that's kind of some people's goal in life. You want to have something that people can remember you by. And I feel like if we can build a sustainable farm practice, that'd be a pretty good thing. And hopefully they'd be into it. I mean, they do gardening with us now, just at the house and stuff. But it'd be cool one day if we could have them at the farm or something. That's just it's. I see some guys around here that do that. Like I'll see the kids in their pictures, and I'm just like, man, is that? I don't know. Like I feel like you're risking your license at that point, and it just kind of sucks. But it'd be cool to have cannabis education and kids come out to farms and show them what's going on and teach them about everything. And we actually bought this kids book. There's a kids book that's specifically for cannabis, and it doesn't say cannabis in the book or anything, but it's about two parents that grow this special plant and that people feel this way about this special plant. And fucking, I wish I could remember what it's called, but it's like a kid's book about cannabis. So we bought that book for our daughter, when she was younger, and try to normalize it a little bit. I think that's the thing. It's just so, like you were saying earlier, just demonized back in the day, and everyone's scared of it and think it was some horrible thing, but just shouldn't be weird to talk about, or it shouldn't be weird for your kid to see like your weed out or something like that. It's just you can have your drinks out. Like, what's the difference? Have your cigarettes out. So yeah, just try to normalize it more in our life with our kids than probably most people do, I'd say. But I think it's for the better because they're going to grow up, they're going to find about it anyways, right? They're going to do it anyways. Like if they're educated about it, at least they'll have a little know-how and not to smoke some pesticide-ridden crap weed or some shit. But I don't know. I feel like it's better to teach them than to just prevent them from doing it and then let them go against you and learn it on their own.
It's funny. So, my girls.
How did you handle that with your kids?
I come from a very different background, to be honest with you. I grew up a little bit around the hustle, so it was something that was a little normal too. It was more like go outside. You guys go outside and come back in, and everybody's pie-eyed. The house smells. You know what I mean? Something was going on. And so I kind of never really hit it for my girls. You know what I mean? I treated it, like you said, like more of an alcohol type thing. And it is funny because my girls, all of them across the board, I ain't never smoking that shit. never. So I never encouraged it. I'm like, secretly, I'm like, man, when you get that choice, hopefully you start smoking weed. I never said it, but I'm thinking it. You know what I mean?
That was what you're thinking? All right.
Yeah, I was.
Did you care what age?
Especially because, well, I was hoping for later. You know what I mean? I come to find out, brother, here I'm thinking I raised 3 angels, and they're like, oh, no, we snagged some roaches off your tray and did this. And I'm like, oh, I never knew that. Well, good to know. You know what I mean? But they
Yeah.
were, 17, 18. It wasn't like it was like super young. And I never even noticed, to be honest with you. All
Yeah.
them times they were sitting there telling me they would never smoke. And so it was, yeah, secretly I was kind of hoping, but I never encouraged it. You know what I was like,
Yeah.
never said, oh, yeah, you should be
Make their
smoking
just
weed.
tell them about it, and then they can make their own decision, right? Like,
And they went towards the cannabis. Heck, my first one, my oldest daughter,
do all three of them smoke?
well, no, the oldest
No.
one smokes every day, all the time, just like her dad and her mom. The middle girl smokes occasionally, and she wasn't even really well. I guess looking back, yeah, she had used it, and never really talked about it. But CBD actually helped her in a lot of ways. She was in a car accident. Was
Oh, nice.
a whole different story, but CBD got her off of a lot of them medicines for PTSD that they were forcing down to her. That was every side effect. And but nowadays she's probably in chat. Lexi's probably in chat. Actually, the cannabis has brought me and her a lot closer in life. That's for sure. This community. I mean, as we were talking about the weed nerd community before the show, even though she's not a smoker, she is definitely a weed nerd. She likes the people in the community. She likes hanging out. She likes,
That's awesome.
yeah. Before all this and the show and the her experience, it was different. We didn't
Yeah.
talk much, and now ever since this, she's like every morning she's like, "Did you see what happened in chat? We were talking about." She
You guys have
actually
something
is
to relate
watching the.
to now.
Yeah, she's actually in the same house on the other end of the show, probably watching it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, yeah.
she was her and the actually the youngest daughter, which probably is listening in earshot, so close in the same anyway. But you know, it is what it is. I don't encourage it. Courtney, as far as I know, isn't a user and has no intentions on using. When she gets older, if she wants to, I would like same thing. I'm not going to encourage it,
Right.
But yeah, she went that way, and it won't be by me. Won't be by my hand. Probably the first time, but she came to. My oldest daughter took me to a hash bash not so long ago.
Nice.
Well, about 6 years ago now. She meets this guy, which, by the way, I heard you say you got two girls. So, you know,
Yeah.
this, with boys, your whole attitude with boys could be a whole different thing. But she meets this guy, and they've been going out for a while. And she says, that at this point, I'm just finding out she's smoking.
Uh-huh.
She's like wanting to hit one every now and again. I'm like, so, what the heck? And then she asked me if I want to go to the hash bash. And I'm like, what? This is kind of weird. She's like, yeah, well, me and him's anniversary, that's the first place he took me. Was our first date was the hash bash. And it's our
Classy.
anniversary. Yeah. And we
Nice.
just kind of wanted to know if you wanted to come and hang out. And that was the first time I actually really smoked with her, was the way down to the hash bash with them. And it was a weird day because she had actually knew that I had a foot in the cannabis industry, but didn't really see it until we were there and everybody was stopping us. And she's like, "How did these people know you?" And, so it was a little bit weird ride home, explaining that I've been growing for a long period of time, and
Oh, so she had
it
no
was
idea.
somewhat. No, not really.
Oh, wow.
No, not
That's crazy.
not that she had known that I was growing, but she had known that I had was out there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Talking to other
I
people
gotcha.
online and all that good shit.
Online.
But it was
Dad, you know how to use the online? Like,
yeah,
he's all
basically.
surprised.
Yeah.
Oh,
Even to
funny.
this day, like my daughter's there, like look at my Instagram and shit. They're like, how do you got so many followers? I don't even have that many followers. How do you have that many followers?
They
Like,
got
I
that
don't know.
know-how. Eagle, what's dab song? Are you supposed to do a dab song? This is dab.
Oh, well, there is a dab song. You know how Tanazi does he's got the dab bell. You know what I mean?
You got the
See
dab
these
song.
things
What's the dab
Yeah,
song?
we got a dab song, and depending on that, usually I'm pretty free with it. You're a dabber, but I judge on the guest. If I'm having a good conversation, very often do I stop and go, "Hey, you want a dab song and shit?" It's usually them asking for it. But if you want a dab, I will. I'll do the dab song and throw on the dab song.
I feel like chat wants the dab song. I feel like I've seen it come
Oh,
up a
they've been
couple
asking
times.
for it for a couple. They've been asking. That's for sure.
What song is that? You have a special song?
I do. I do. It is. It's actually intermission from the Offspring,
Oh,
and
okay. Nice, old school.
but yeah, here we go. There's a good extra. So here
I
we go.
grew up
Here's
on
the
some
damn song,
Offspring.
guys. It's just long enough for the heat up and the
Okay.
cool down, the puff and the cheers.
All right, nice,
So
perfect.
here we go. Here's the damn song, guys. Cheers, everybody. There you go. There's the damn song for you guys. Ugh, pretty good stuff.
Oh, I lost my dabs. What are you smoking on, Eagle?
That was some watermelon pie extract from Big Gas. It was pretty good. It's pretty good. And then I'm smoking on, let's see here. I had this Pine Valley that I just snagged out of the dryer. Bad timing. I had a bad caregiver moment where my perpetual didn't overlap correctly, so I actually had to. I ran out. I'm picking off the dryer. It happens. What do you got over there? Your mic off, brother.
Oh, sorry, my bad. I was talking to myself. Thank you. I have some type of BHO from one of our buddies at bobsled extract here in Oregon. But dude, yeah, I'm not even sure what it is. We just I was telling or I was talking to myself when I was saying it, but we always have plenty of flour, but we don't always have plenty of dabs. And because sometimes I just don't take the time. Like I have stuff I could press into rosin, I just sometimes don't take the time. And so we just got with our buddy and basically like, hey, you want to take like an ounce of flour and you get like half an ounce of oil? And he's like, yeah, that sounds great. Because he works for bobsled in town and he gets plenty of oil. So, but he's always short on flour. So we're like, let's make this work. How about just every now and then we give you some flour, you give us some oil, and that way we both never have a problem, you know? So that's what we've been doing, and I don't know what this stuff is, but it smells good.
I work on a similar system, to be honest with you. When
The
I run
bartering
down to the
system.
city there, yep, I do a little swapping because there ain't shit. Again, the nearest provisioning center for me is like an hour and a half away. So when I fucking go downstate and take care of the patients, I usually do a little swap and come back with some extracts to keep me for the fucking until I next time I go down. It works. Nothing wrong with the barter system, that's for sure.
Yeah, I feel like there's barter system is could be what we're go back to creating stuff on the back end, especially if they talk about getting
You
rid
ever
of all
watch
the cash.
You ever watch the Trailer Park Boys?
Oh yeah, yep.
I have rickied some shit quite a
Have
few
you?
times. Oh, my tires, auto parts, wood, tattoos in some instances. I shit you not. Last year, I was downstate, and I was, down there for caregiver purposes, and blew out a tire, and then so I, keep in mind too. It's like Saturday. It's like 4:30, and it's like getting close to quitting time. So everybody's already pissy about having to, put some fucking tires on my shit as it is.
Right.
So the guys that coming out, and I go in while they're working on my vehicle, and I start talking to the guy and telling him, that I'm a fucking seed guy and I sell seeds, and we get talking about blood, and he's like, "You got some on you?" And I'm like, "Yeah." The next thing you know, man, he's like, we go out to the truck. I show him what I got there, and he's like, "Oh yeah, we're good." He's like, "Billy, what'd you do with this ticket?" Right over there. I got it, man. I got it. And they were all chipper after that about fucking putting some wheels on that vehicle. I was like,
No
"Oh yeah, you
problems
guys have
after
a
that.
good weekend." Oh man, they were practically high fiving when
That's
I
how it
left
takes.
and
Yeah, it's
shit.
awesome. Little act of kindness.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, dude,
You
that's
would have
awesome.
think you would have think when I opened up that box too, I had passed them out gold nuggets too.
They were that excited. He's getting
Oh
free tires,
yeah.
guys. He's getting free tires.
Oh
Hook this
man, I
man
don't
up.
know if it was like super dry in that area or what, but yeah, they were way too excited.
Oh man, that's awesome though. Making people's day, I remember one time it was back when we were in Washington. We had this leftover wheat that we never sold, and we had moved out of there here to Oregon. It was just like sitting in a bag. It was maybe like quarter pound or half a pound or something, and it was just I was downtown one day and I'd taken it with me, and I'm like, I'm gonna give this to the next homeless person I see, and I went to I think I was looking for her ring or something downtown, and so I was walk down the stairwell in this parking garage, saw this homeless dude just sitting on there. It looked like he was trying to load a bowl of something. And so I came back up, I ran to my car and I grabbed it, and he was still there, and I gave it to him. Man, he was just like, his eyes just lit up. He's like, "Is this just a whole bag of weed?" It's like, "Dude, yeah, just take it, whatever. Enjoy, have fun, roll up a couple joints." And oh, dude, made his day. It was just like, felt good. We have a bunch of pre-rolls we try to like give out, because I feel like they're gonna buy weed anyways most of the time, and if you're just hanging out all day smoking weed's a pretty good thing to have. So just hook them up with some pre-rolls, and we got a pretty healthy homeless population here in Portland. They
Well,
got
that's
the
sad, but it's awesome that you help out a little bit of relief. That's for sure.
Yeah, because I feel like that's what I would be doing if I was hanging out all day. So, but yeah, they have here in Portland. They can actually build, like they can set up tents and stuff almost anywhere, like in town. That's public, whatever access. It's not like in the middle of a road or something, but under a bridge or side of highway or something, they're not limited. Like they won't get their camps tore down or anything like that. So, it still sucks, obviously, but at least they have some support, from the city or whatever. And yeah. And I feel like for us, it's just, yeah, it's a few pre-rolls, not a big deal. And, it's that little extra sometimes that makes someone's day, right? Just having a really shitty day. If someone threw some pre-rolls at you, you'd be like, oh, just turn it around just like that, right? Or you tip a waitress or a waiter a little bit, you could be, it's just little acts of kindness. I feel like good way to go about living life.
It's funny you say that because I say that every show. That fucking
That little.
That's all I ask for. Do something nice for somebody and
Do
random
something,
acts of
yeah.
kindness. Save.
It's not hard,
Everybody has a hard time at some point. Everybody needs a
Right.
helping hand at some point, for sure.
I'm trying to get better. Like I have some road rage issues, and a lot of people in Oregon drive really slow, like below the speed limit in the left lane, and I'm not like used to that, and so I try to remind myself that if I get cut off or something by someone in traffic or whatever, and I'm getting angry, just like, you know what, maybe they're just having a bad day, and like just not trying to piss you off or anything, right? It's just their day is off, and everyone has some of those here and there, so. Yeah, dude, like throw a little act of kindness out there. See if you can change someone's day. It's not the worst thing you can do. And like how much effort does it take, right? Like most of the time it's something you could do fairly easy. Hold the door open or whatever, like it's not hard to do. Well, everyone does a little bit.
Somebody in chat actually had me chasing the other day, and I didn't even realize it till like midway through like the next day. You know what I mean? They just actually said something. It was like I forget what they said. Is it the shirt or you've been doing something? You look good today, Eagle. And I thought to myself, a whole next day I had a little spring in my step and shit. And I'm like, and I thought, God damn, it is just like it's amazing how like you say, just a little compliment can fucking
right. Yeah. Doesn't take a lot of effort. So, but yeah, I don't know where we were going with that. But...
No, the show has no directions. It has lots of squirrels.
Yeah, so you're Eastern Coast, so you're 2:30 in the morning right now. Oh, yeah. Not Michigan. Oh, okay. It's 2:30 there right Michigan. Now.
It's 2:30 here right now.
Damn. It's like, what time do you wake up in the mornings?
It's usually I'm dropping out around 6, and I'm usually popping up around 10:30, 4.5 hours. Last few days, like I said, it's feel weird getting almost a full 8, but usually 4 to 6 hours. Yeah.
Dang, Eagle, it's hardcore. What do you stay up till 6 doing? Your garden stuff?
Yeah.
Whatever. All your rooms run at night, or?
Nope. No, it's 10 o'clock. 10 to 10. It's time to wake up and close things and open things.
Okay. All right. That makes sense.
Change.
That makes sense.
It's time for shift change at 10 o'clock. Yeah.
Nice. All right.
I've been in this habit, forever. And then I just started realizing, well, I got a few extra hours to hang out. I actually do this fucking from 11:30 to, it started out to be like a couple hours, and then I don't know how the hell it locked in at 4:20, but it goes every night now from 11:30ish to 4:20 every day, and then I fucking drop off, do a couple hours around the garden, and get up, do it all again.
Every day. Yeah, works out. It's a lot of work, but I mean, doing what you love, like we talked about, right? So, not that bad. Not that
I
bad.
think that's a lot of what helps keeping me look young right there. If well, according to your words, not mine. You were nice enough
No,
to throw them out there earlier,
I think I
but
asked in chat. I feel like most people. Well, one guy said way older, but I feel like most people shot younger. So it's you know, yeah, you got a 40 in there. So
I'll take it. I'll take it.
you also got a 54's rude, but
It is
probably
what
just
it is.
joking. Probably just joking. Oh man.
Uh,
Yeah, that's you got to catch up on sleep sometimes, though, right? They say it stacks up on you if you keep cutting it short over time. But
there's definitely some days where you just have to check out for a day, catch up.
right, just pass out, power nap it up. Yeah.
What time do you get up and rolling over there?
Well, I get that call 8 o'clock every morning, so I have to wake up for that, and then depends what I have to do. If I have an early meeting with someone, but I try to schedule most of my stuff after 9 o'clock, so at least have some time to wake up and get coffee and shit. And then it's just day job, and then I go to the farm after that, do the farm work every day, right? So it's a lot of work, but it's
How do
gonna
you
be worth it
trim?
one day. Do what?
How you guys trim over there? You have a machine or you hand trim it?
No, we just hand trim it. It takes us a really long time. I mean, not like a really long time, obviously, but it takes us a while. It's a lot of work. We could obviously move stuff a lot faster if we had like a team of people over there. So, but we just haven't been been in a position to do that, so we just do it ourselves. But now we've stacked up a little bit of stuff, and I was talking to my buddy, and he has a crew that can probably come and trim it for us, and it would take him a day to knock it all out. So, and they only charge $80 a pound, so it's like, damn, that's pretty good price. Um, so yeah, I'm thinking we might do that, but yeah, we're always gonna do hand trimmed. We have no interest in running shit through machines. I have some friends that do it, and if you do it right, it can look really decent when it's done. Not super beat up or anything, still really well manicured. Uh, but it's not as good as it could be if it was hand trimmed. So to us, it's like we want to be in that boutique shop. We want to stand out a little bit, and running it through a machine is not going to help you do that. So some people are right at it, but I don't know. I feel like you get a better product if you hand trim it.
Do you wet trim or dry trim? You mind me asking.
Dry trim for sure. Do not agree with wet trimming. Do you wet trim?
Oh, it depends.
Oh,
Uh,
you do wet
I
trim.
prefer to wet. I prefer to wet trim
Mm-hmm.
and use. I got
Crazy.
this fucking dryer right here. It works pretty well, and so I like to wet trim and put it on that, and then use my wet trim for hash. But there
Do
comes
your buds
times
get
where
like a flat edge though?
no, not at all, not at
No.
all. They've had very good luck with it, and totally dismissed the whole you'll burn your turps up and shit. My weed's just as turpy as just a hang dry with that. But there's been times as of late, shit, I've got some shit hanging right now that it's just sometimes quicker to just take one down and hang it, and I'll get to it later. But you
Right.
know, I just find myself being over picky when I'm dry trimming because I know that's the final working
Hmm.
over it.
Do you
To
notice
where
when you do the? Sorry, go ahead.
when I do wet trim, I've got it down to where like I'm trimming close enough to where anything I leave behind is receding in. You know what I mean? As it
Hmm.
dries, it's not necessarily it's done when it's that final product's done. to where I'm hanging and I'm going back. And then when I trim dry, I know that I can't count on that, receding in. So now I'm like, I'm almost
Ah,
too anal about it. And, I'm getting
that's
better.
that's exactly what I was gonna ask. I was like, do you notice when you trim it if the bud itself, dries and shrinks a little bit where the leaves are actually sticking out? But you're talking about it receding in.
It's
That's
always been my luck.
and you say, okay, all right. Hmm. I don't know. I've never seen. Maybe you just haven't seen someone do a good wet trim. Maybe you just got it down, and then I haven't seen it. Because most people that wet trim their stuff that I see, it just doesn't smell that good in the end. But maybe they're just doing something wrong.
I actually had to do a side by side with the same strain not too long ago because it was a nice beast. She was a pretty good sized plant. So I actually filled up the dryer that I had right here and actually had to hang some of the same plant. So I kind of was forced to do the side by side. And I was kind of wanting, for some reason, the hang dry to, But in the end, man, I think the machine did just as well of a job, if not just a hair turbier, which was almost sad to report.
That's
You know what
crazy.
I mean?
Yeah.
But it worked out that way.
And you
And
just
I
straight
was
from chop down, you go trim it right after you chop it. Do you like? There's no time in
yeah,
between chopping it before you trim it.
no,
And then
man.
how do
I
you?
trimmed that thing up. I'm de-stemming it right off into them trays, and I'm packing
Uh-huh.
that thing just as tight as I can get it, and then stacking them trays, and it's fucking 96 hours. She's actually ready for jar ready for cure. I'm ready to start the jar right at that point.
And you just have them on trays sitting outside, like just.
No, they stack like this. One
Ah,
right on
okay.
top of
They're
each
like
other.
those dehydrator trays. Okay.
Kind of like that, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's a preset. I think he says it's going at like right around 79. He don't like to say the exact temperature it uses, but
Uh,
it will. It's got its own little processor that's shutting on and trying to keep that temperature steady. But it
oh, that's
does a
awesome.
great job. You know,
Yeah.
I used to
Huh.
actually not selling the product or not, but I used to use a 4x410, and now I use that. If I time my shit out right, I can kind of keep that thing running.
How much
You
can
know
you
what I
fit in
mean? All
there?
the time. I can fit with the fucking 8 tray things, 10 ounces in it at a time. He's coming up
Okay.
with a 4 pound unit. It's supposed to be out sometime soon. Be happy to see that.
And it finishes in how long?
Tops 96 hours from start to
Wow.
finish.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah. And
Hmm.
you know what's
I have
funny
to try
is
that sometime.
I've actually I've smoked shit with Bed Grower One, Mr. Tight, and people at cups and slid that shit. And when I changed, I didn't even tell my patients that I changed, and they didn't even fucking
Yeah.
notice the difference. They actually didn't. And the same
Hmm.
thing with smoking people at the cups. I'm like, can you believe I chopped this down 3 days ago? And it fucking, as they're smoking it, going, man, this thing tastes pretty good. I'm like, yeah, it was down 3 days ago. And we're
That's
smoking it
crazy.
now. Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, I had a buddy that would trim, but his stuff would not. Like he would get it down, he would get it bagged and get it sold in like 5 days or 6 days. And I was like, yeah, that's great, but what does it smell like a week or two later? And but I don't think he wasn't using like that dry or anything. He was just wet trimming and then hanging them up like as cut branches. And I don't know, it just no, it didn't smell right, or it didn't keep the smell like as strong of a smell as you would think it normally would. But maybe
Well,
that
I
little
was
machine does something
skeptical.
special. Yeah.
I was I was skeptical. The guy actually on air has said that, when he sent me it, he was, and I went at it, to be honest with you. The first time I got it, I was ready to rip it apart. Honestly, I was very skeptical about using it, and I did. I liked it. He said on air, he was like, "Man, I was afraid he was gonna rip it apart, but he did. It worked out. I'm still using it a year later. To be honest with you,
That's pretty crazy. I'll have to look into what's it called?
this one, it's My Herbs Now. Is the name of the machine. Pretty good guy, Scott.
I'll have to look that up. Hires now. So it's not a dehydrator though. It's different.
It looks like a dehydrator, but it's different. Dehydrator runs a lot hotter.
Mm,
And
okay.
he'll flat out tell you, he's like, if you're gonna try it use it as a dehydrator, it's not gonna work out for you. You're not
Gotcha.
gonna set food on this thing and fucking dehydrate it. It's gonna fucking mold on it. But
Yeah.
it works perfect.
Huh. That's fucking crazy, dude. All right. Well, I'll have to check that out, I guess, because yeah, I've just what trimming does seem easier. Like just trimming the bud itself is easier. What trimming it, but I don't know. If you have never had good terp preservation, I guess. Like, just seems like it doesn't cure as well, but I'm willing to try new things always for sure. So I'll have to check it out. Get a small unit and cure some bud. Because that'd be crazy. I mean, that would save, you think about the time that would save, especially at commercial level when that dry room is sitting there running for 2 to 3 weeks, hanging plants, AC and fans and all that. Cut that down into a few days. Like, it'd be crazy. But you would need, probably some, that does like 4 pounds, like you're talking about. He's making something that could do a little larger amounts.
I'm being very honest. I have yet to have somebody fucking tell me that it was bullshit.
Oh, I believe you. No, I believe you. I'm down to try it. That's cool. That just blows my mind. It just blows my mind because, it's a lot of time you save. Time is everything. So.
For me, it was about the space because I ended up growing weed in that tent.
Oh yeah,
I
you
did
had
too.
to dry tent basically. I got you. Yeah. There you go.
Honestly did.
Winning.
I was skeptical I left it, as a dry tent for that first month as I started to use it, and then once I figured, how I could work it into my schedule, I was like, "Fuck this! I'm throwing a light back in that tent."
That's crazy.
And I did. That tent's
crazy.
been growing weed ever since that dryer fucking got here. I've been
Hell
fucking
yeah.
flowering
That's
in that tent.
Huh. Oh man. All right. Yeah, that it makes sense, right? That's an easy decision. You get a grow tent back and you save space and you get your shit done quicker. Like that sounds like a dream come true. Sounds too good to be true, Eagle. I don't know. I'm just kidding. I'm gonna try it though.
Hey,
I'm gonna try
nothing
it.
wrong with being skeptical. There's nothing wrong with being skeptical. That's for sure.
The reason I was asking if it got flat because we had those hanging like tray nets you can buy that is just like shelves and they hang on like a net. You can put all your buds to dry on there. Like we used those when we first started in Washington, and we would have like you could see like flat, sides on the bud from it sitting there drying. So, but maybe because that thing finishes it so quickly, they don't have time to sit there and sag and like I don't know.
It could be. Maybe it's
because you don't see that. They're just like the regular bud, like.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
No, actually, I don't have. I was gonna say I'd have some, but usually I would. I just remembered I'm fucking out right at the moment. Where I'm actually picking off some off the dryer, and it's working.
Man, that's cool. All right, I'll look into that for sure. Man, I may need to go to bed though. It's getting late.
Oh man,
Yeah, nice early.
You
day.
gave me way past. Way past.
I know. Just talking. Didn't even realize. Time was flying by, dude. Because what time did we start? 8:30. Damn, that's like 3 hours. Jesus. All right. Wow. You're good at this, Eagle. You're good at talking, man. You got good questions.
Yeah, it's just easy with good people. It really is. It just flies by. Well,
Well,
two
man,
things
I
before
appreciate
I
it.
let you go.
Uh-huh.
I know that you're a busy man and probably don't get to watch a lot of YouTube, but and not every night do I have guests, and some nights are panel shows like GML or whatever. And the Zoom meeting number, now that you've been on and done your time, is always the same. So if you happen to
Okay.
see one night when fucking bucking off and there's people on, you want to hang out, come hang out. Number's always the same. Doors open anytime you want. You don't need an invite. You got the number.
All
So
right.
that being
Appreciate it.
said, you're all always welcome to hang out if you want to hang out. And then secondly, if you could be so graceful to give me my, I do a sound bite here. It's like the old radio's fucking station identification where the artist kind of, hey, I'm on fucking such and such radio station, and well, tonight I would like to hear, hey, this is Nick from His and Hers Grows, and I'm on fucking Talking Shit with Eagle, episode 136. If you could give me
Ooh,
something, close to that, that'd be super cool.
I'm gonna write down episode 136 because I feel like I'll forget that midway through the sentence. So you just do a shout out, like, um, wait, go say it one more time. Run me through it one more time. This
You
is
can say
Nick on.
whatever you want.
Oh, okay. I can just wing it.
Yeah, wing it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Can you? Oh, you can't even see her. All right. This is Nick with His and Her Grow. Sylvia's passed out behind me, and we're fucking talking shit with Eagle Gardens, episode 136. All right. That's all I got.
That was perfect, my friend. That was perfect. Thank you so much, and thank
You
you for
trying
your
to
time.
you trying to smash all those
Sorry.
together?
Yeah. I do them both as like an episode, an advertisement. I usually like will put this up for Instagram tomorrow so people can see who
Okay.
was on. And, oh yeah, he was on. I'm gonna go watch it, that type of thing. But
He
then
looks
I string
super
them
high at the
together.
end.
I did it at 100, and I'll probably do it again at 200. String them all together and kind of.
Damn. Long ass clip.
It was 23 minutes the last time. All
Okay.
100. I was on fucking Talking Shit with
That's
Eagle.
not too bad. That's
Cool.
not too bad.
Nah,
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
it's fun.
All right. Next time I'll be more prepared. I'll try to do a better one.
Oh no, it was a lot of fun, man.
I'll get Sylvia. Yeah, if we get a babysitter, dude, we can maybe get Sylvia over here. Talk on the show for a little bit. But I appreciate you having us or having me. It was a good time.
Oh man, it was an honor. It was an honor to have you on, man. For real, I've been watching on YouTube all these years, so it's nice to have a video sesh with you and get to know you at least on video, and let
I appreciate
opportunity that letting these people sit in and get a little insight on you as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, thanks, chat, dude. I feel like
you just
I was so bad at paying attention to that.
You just let 85 people in on our conversation. A little bit on your life, and that's pretty cool. It really is.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, man. I'm so bad about watching chat. I feel like it's hard to like talk and read the chat and follow the chat at the same time. You just lose track of what we're talking about. But yeah,
to be honest with you, you did a better job than I did. You answered more replies than I
did. Man, I was trying. I tried a couple of times, but yeah, that was good times, man. I appreciate it. But yeah, it's awesome you do this on YouTube too. I think it's putting cannabis content on YouTube is great. So it's cool that you're so consistent with it and you get so many different people and yeah, you give them a platform to come talk. So that's awesome. If I'm ever sitting around and whatever, I might hop on and say what's up. I appreciate the hospitality.
I appreciate you coming on. Get some rest, and I hope to hear from you guys soon.
All right. Cheers, man. Cheers, guys. Cheers.
Have a good night. his and hers grows. Nick, it was a great episode getting to know him on this fucking Wednesday night. That will do it for this portion of the episode. I'm going to go ahead and end it and then jump back on in the rabbit hole portion of the show before I get myself in any kind of copyright problems, as I like to do. How's the copycat gear? What's the copycat? Hold on, now I gotta wait. What's the copycat gear? Go back to well, anyways, while I'm waiting for the reply. Well, without ado, you guys have a good night. Thank you for tuning in. Random acts of kindness do save lives. You guys know the deal. I'll see you guys in a few minutes in the rabbit hole. Thank you guys for tuning in. See you in a few. Peace.